Hello and welcome to CirclemakersTV, and I'm your host Matthew Williams, and in the other seat over there we've got Agent S. And tonight's guest on the show, we're going to bring them up now because it's dead on time, and I said I was going to bring them at 8. So I'm forgetting to do things already, but we're nearly there. So you go, yes, if you do that. Now I should be able to hear them, but what we're going to do is we're going to set it so that nobody else can, apart from me. But let's see if they're there. So are you hearing us? Right, okay, we'll bring you in a second then. I'm going to fade you up, but right, on the show tonight is our guest Nick Pope, who's he's now sort of not working for the MOD, but we all remember him from his times when he was famously working on the UFO desk in the Ministry of Defence. And he's had a lot of investigation sort of things to do with UFOs, but also it's gone into other areas such as crop circles, which a lot of people thought for many years had a UFO connection. So we'll go across to Nick in a second, but we'll just do the formalities so people can understand how to interact with the show. Basically, we've got a website on circlemakers.org, which is circlemakerstv.org. So if you go to www.circlemakerstv.org, you'll get all the information you want about this show. If you want to Skype into the show tonight, you can install the Skype software. I would recommend doing that sooner rather than later. And give yourself a Skype test call, because otherwise you won't know whether your mic's not working. And there have been several times we've had blank callers on the show, so we don't want that tonight. Right, CirclemakersTV is the name you need to add to the contact to get us. And don't forget, in the lower half of your window where you're watching the video, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a white area with lots of people's names in, and you'll notice that people are chatting and texting the program via that window. Now, if you notice up in the top right of that window, there's a little set of arrows. If you click there, that breaks away, that little chat window breaks away, so you can then scroll back up and watch the program, and you can have the little chat window open at the same time, and you can type in whilst watching the program. So that's how you do it. So do get active in the chat channel. What we do ask as well is if you want to direct a question towards our guest Nick, or to me, Matthew, or to Agent S, if you type it in capitals before you actually ask your question, it helps us to look through all the myriad of questions that are there, and we can just pick out the ones that you want us to ask then, rather than just comments from persons in the channel to other persons in the channel. Okay, so without further ado, I think we should introduce our guest. So, on the line, can you hear us, Mr. Nick Pope?
Yes, I can indeed.
Right, and now somebody will probably tell us in channel if they can hear Mr. Nick Pope. So, tell us if you can hear Mr. Nick Pope in channel, and whether we're coming through, the audio is coming through okay. But I think they probably are, so we've got it right tonight for once. So, thanks very much for coming on the show, and we're sort of ringing you in London at the moment, which is where you live. So, would you like to tell us how long you were working for the MOD?
Yes, I worked for the Ministry of Defence for 21 years, and between 1991 and 1994, I was on MOD's UFO project. So, obviously, I think people sometimes have a little misconception that I spent my entire career on that. For most of the time I was working for the government, I was working on other things. I worked in the Joint Operations Centre. I worked in finance jobs. I've worked in policy jobs, briefing jobs. My last post was in the Directorate of Defence Security. So I had a very varied career. Obviously, I suppose I'm best known to the public for having done the UFO job, but I now, and I've been out of the Ministry of Defence since 2006. I now work as an author, journalist and broadcaster, and I commentate not just on UFOs and the unexplained, but conspiracy theories, space, science fiction, fringe science, a whole range of different subjects.
Yes, and which fashions are popular this summer for UFO researchers?
Indeed. Well,
yes. Haven't quite got onto that one yet.
No, not quite yet, but that doubtless will be next.
Right, good. I'm glad. We need some help. We're a sad bunch. We're not wearing the right fashions this year, I think. But anyway,
I think anoraks and tinfoil hats are out. That's very cliched view. Actually, night vision goggles are probably the in thing at the moment.
There you go. Well, I'm definitely ahead of the game there because we can't talk about my night vision goggles, but I have got some. It's a little in joke with the show. So yes. I told people I didn't want to talk about it, so they ask me every week about my night vision goggles. It's one of those things, you just can't get away with it. If you hint at something, they never leave you alone after that. So we've got a lot of people actually who are in our chat room, and what we'll do is we'll ask the questions that they're posing to you. And what I like to do is just read out the names very briefly and say hello to those people. So we've got Bluestone, Circle Thoughts, Darthy, GBZ is a good one, Gonads, Gordy, Happy Stomper, Hedge Dread, Cannabis, Keith Walklin, Monad, Plan 9, Roger CCC, Stuart Dyke, you probably recognise that one, and Sunday Girl.
Why is no one just called John? I mean,
Yes, I know. They've all got to be something special there. And we've got Andrew Perkers just popped in as well. So we've got 16 users in the channel chat room. I think we've got about 40 or 50 people probably watching at the moment on live, and we tend to have about 100 that watch the show afterwards. Oops, we had the power fluctuate then. Wouldn't that be great if the power just went off right now? Yeah, okay. So fingers crossed we don't get a power cut now. Otherwise we'll have to reboot everything and call you again, which will take a couple of minutes. I hope that doesn't happen. Right, so going back to the MOD and US... Hello? We've lost the internet over there. The internet's gone down. Bollocks. That blipped the fucking router. It'll come back up in a second. Ring him. Yeah.
Hello.
Hiya, Nick. I think we're rebroadcasting at the moment, and we had a power cut.
Okay.
So it didn't reboot my machine, but it rebooted the router. So I just had to wait for that to come back up. So I think we're broadcasting now, and if everybody wants to confirm that, that would be great.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I guess if people put in a couple of questions, if they've got any, I suppose we'll know.
Okay, well, I think we're broadcasting now for sure. Yes, there we go. Right, so sorry about everybody then. There was a... Yes, somebody said put 50 pence in the meter. No, we're not on a meter in this place, but we had a slight power fluctuation for those that didn't hear that, and it blinked the router off. It didn't blink the machine off. So anyway, Nick is back on the line now. Sorry about that, and on we go. So going back to the Ministry of Defence, it's probably of interest because this is a circle making and circle research show. Did you have many reports of crop circle interest whilst you were at the MOD?
What we essentially had was a situation where crop circles were not in the formal terms of reference, but because of the perceived link between the UFO phenomenon, which of course was, and crop circles, people said, you should be looking at this. And those people included individuals such as Ralph Noyce, of course, who is a former senior Ministry of Defence official himself. When he wrote in and lobbied on this issue, his view, perhaps wrongly, but did count for a little bit more than maybe the average member of the public. So we had people like Ralph Noyce saying, you're missing a trick by not looking at this. Get alongside the issue. And as I say, it wasn't in the formal terms of reference, but we kept what in civil service terms I would call a watching brief on it.
Right. I mean, I've seen questions that have been asked in the Houses of Parliament, and I've got some of those written down, which we can go over in a minute. But it seems to me, I mean, from what I'm reading, that the MOD was stating that they didn't really have much of an investigation interest in crop circles. Is that your...
Absolutely correct, yes. Bear in mind that the MOD's first involvement in this subject was an accusation from a farmer that military helicopters had been causing these swirled patterns in his crop and thus damaging it by undertaking low-flying training. And that's really the first involvement. And Lieutenant Colonel Edgecombe from Middle Wallop looked into this. The Army Air Corps base at Middle Wallop looked into this, and we even started trying to recreate them ourselves, as I recall, by flying low over crops and seeing if the downwash from helicopter rotor blades could cause these sorts of patterns. But so that was how MOD was first involved in this subject. And of course, the Ministry of Defence is extremely grateful to the farming community for permission sometimes to undertake low-flying training, particularly helicopter training on agricultural land. So we certainly did not want to antagonize the farming community over this, which is why these allegations were looked into so seriously. But no, MOD was not particularly interested in this, and some of the more wild conspiracy theories that started to spring up along the lines of this was MOD testing directed energy weapons or something, space-based directed energy weapons. It was a bizarre situation to find oneself dragged into those sorts of debates.
Yes, indeed. I think they, as you say, they were actually even at one stage testing with helicopters, trying to see whether they could create crop circles of that nature.
Yes.
And they weren't able to do that. And I think somebody, a high-ranking official for the RAF, went on the record as saying that it was impossible to create a complicated design from a helicopter downwash of the rotor, I think. Yes.
That's my recollection. Yes.
Mm. So when you were there, did you have any reports of UFOs in connection with crop circles and the like?
Well, there was certainly one or two, yes. I mean, bear in mind, of course, as you well know, that the whole community of people who believe that the two phenomena are inextricably linked. So every strange light in the sky, anywhere in the Wiltshire area or parts of Hampshire, any strange thing seen, almost became automatically linked to this, in that, a crop circle has appeared in field A, a UFO was seen in location B fairly close, therefore there must be a link. Well, of course, that's an assumption, and that was the sort of situation that we were dealing with in the MOD, where people were saying, no, these two phenomena are definitely linked, and we were saying, well, hold on, that's an assumption that comes from belief, not from empirical evidence.
Yes, I think you were even quoted somewhat, and you did a slight review for a book called The British Government and Crop Circles, or it's called Government Crop Circles by Colin Andrews, and I think you wrote something on the British Government and Crop Circles. So were you actually in that book? I haven't seen a copy myself.
Well, it's a rather funny story. I mean, I consider Colin Andrews a friend, but it was rather amusing. I wrote an essay a while ago, and it's on my website. I think it's just called Crop Circles, An Official History. And it was an attempt to set out the history of the MOD's involvement in this subject, starting, as I mentioned, from the accusation from the farmer and Lieutenant Colonel Edgecombe's investigation, going right through the parliamentary questions that were asked, the issue of the fact that pilots were actually just as interested in this as anyone else, and would often fly low over crop circles and take photos of them, which would end up on the crew room walls.
Yes.
So I had written this, and I had very much, of course, I'd written that article at a time that I still worked for the MOD. And the MOD's policy on crop circles, as with UFOs, of course, was to downplay its involvement and interest in this. And I think Colin Andrews took that and perhaps extrapolated, I don't know, a step too far in suggesting that I was some sort of apologist for the Ministry of Defence on this issue, that what I was writing was disinformation. And his book, and I do have a copy, I must admit I've dipped into it but not read it. It was somewhat bizarre. There was a front cover image, of course, was him dressed all in light, as I recall, and myself in a dark suit. And it did look a little bit like a sort of deliberate juxtaposition of the forces of light and the forces of darkness. But I did, to be fair, I did apologize to him and say, look, in particular relationship to issues such as royal interest in this, I had downplayed the situation, just because that was always MOD policy.
Right. So when you're saying downplayed it, simply because you're not supposed to sort of make those connections, even if they're there, they're not supposed to highlight them. That would be an MOD thing, to not make features about what the royals are up to. Indeed.
I mean, with the royal family, one isn't supposed to be discussing what they are or aren't interested in anyway, or certainly those of us in government weren't.
Right.
And very much the view was that, we would just let this subject play itself out in the media and with the public and with the UFO community and the crop circle community, and we would try and take a step back. And I think the essay that I wrote was very much in line with that slightly hands-off policy. But that was seen by people like Colin Andrews and others as debunking and disinformation, and it really wasn't intended to be that. But I think very often when somebody doesn't have a background in government, things that people in government and the military and the intelligence community do can look a bit suspicious and odd, and people always read perhaps slightly more into these things than's actually ever there.
Right. Okay. I mean, are you actually aware of, I think it's Prince Philip is a bit of a UFO person. I'm not stating exactly, how far he goes into these things, but I believe he's had UFO magazines sent to him in the past. He might have been a subscriber to Flying Saucer Review, something like that. You're aware
of that situation, and indeed the late Lord Hill Norton discussed it with me quite extensively. I used to brief him from time to time on the UFO issue, and he filled me in on the situation. But I still don't feel that it's particularly appropriate for me to discuss royal interest in this at any great length or depth.
Well, are you also aware? I'm just sort of touching base on your sort of depth of knowledge on this, about the Operation Blackbird, where the MOD sent over some army personnel. I believe they were allowed to come over and help with the investigations that were being done with Colin Andrews at the time.
Yes, I'm familiar with that situation. I don't pretend to have the inside track on exactly what happened. What I would say is this, and this is something that I discussed on a number of occasions, is that sometimes, obviously, particularly in relation to things like special forces training, lining up points, LUPs,
right,
surveillance at very close quarter is a skill that special forces need to attain and constantly practice.
Right.
So sometimes there will be situations where it might actually be quite opportune for the military to get involved in something like this. And none of that necessarily implies an interest in the phenomenon itself. It's more perhaps with practicing those skills in terms of selecting and maintaining the integrity of a lying up point, close surveillance, those sorts of skills. But obviously we're skirting around now in relation to special forces with areas where I really can't get into any detailed discussion, as I'm sure you'll understand.
Okay, I mean, I don't know specifically what a lining up point is. Are you able? A
lying up point is basically LUP.
Right.
A lying up point is where you are surveilling a particular location.
Right.
For example, let's just give an example of the sort of mission that special forces do. It might be inserting a small team into the very close proximity of a target, and then firing a laser designator to light up that target, so that when an aircraft comes in with laser-guided bombs and things, the bomb will basically follow the laser right down to the target.
Right, okay.
So to do that, the point is, to do that, Special Forces need to be very, very close to the target. And this is a very difficult skill because you've got to insert yourself without obviously being seen. And again, without going into too many details, but obviously, for example, when you eat, you can't cook anything. When
it'll give away heat signatures.
You have to bury it.
Oh, right.
You know, again, I'm not going to go into many details here for obvious reasons, but it's something that Special Forces, particularly the SAS, are particularly good at.
Yes.
Getting really close to something, right under your noses.
Camouflaged, even sort of crawling on all hands and knees, you know, sort of moving at 1 foot a minute, so they're not sort of found and that sort of stuff.
That's a part of it, but generally speaking, any movement's bad. You find your optimum location and you just sort of bed yourself down there.
Right. Okay.
And these guys can be there for days, right under your nose.
It's interesting you suggest this because, you know, in asking you about Operation Blackbird, you've come back there with this sort of, you know, need to kind of get in and do things under people's noses. Now, I mean, my recollection of Operation Blackbird was that the army actually came in openly and did sort of help with the investigations there. I mean, I could be missing some stuff out here, but are you saying that there was some element of covert behind the scenes kind of sneaking out there and being out in the area of the crop looking for stuff, then that these army personnel were actually hiding, watching for stuff, not just up at the base camp with the Operation Blackbird people?
I'm not saying that was necessarily the case because I honestly don't know, but I'm suggesting that it's a possibility. Special Forces tend to take opportunities, training opportunities where they come, and the idea of perhaps camping out right under the noses of the world's media and all sorts of UFO and crop circle enthusiasts and things might be a challenge.
Yes, I'm sure.
That would be a useful training opportunity. But as I say, it's only a theory.
Well, what's interesting about that, I would have thought, would be that if some specialist people like that were hiding out in the field, they may have seen the people who came in and made the crop circle beneath the cameras, because there was a crop circle made. And if those army personnel had seen that, I'm kind of guessing to myself now, maybe they wouldn't have been able to have said they were there, so maybe they wouldn't have revealed the fact that they saw people coming in to make that crop circle as a possibility. What would you think to that?
I would agree totally. If any of this was used in military and particularly Special Forces training exercises, there's no way any of this would have been discussed with the public. It would simply have been something kept completely in-house.
So maybe somewhere in the MOD there's a file perhaps for release at some future time which might discuss that there were people there and knew a little bit more about that circle being created than what was said at the time. I'm sure the army personnel were kind of going, "Oh, isn't that interesting? We didn't know that. Oh, yes." But standing there next to Colin Andrews, and maybe they knew more about it than they were saying.
Maybe, and maybe there's a file, or maybe there isn't. I mean, particularly, of course, that was before the Freedom of Information Act was enacted. But,
right.
Of course, very often, particularly with Special Forces and more highly classified areas, things aren't written down at all.
Right. Yes. It's in that sort of shady world that almost comes down to like intelligence and things like that, whereby they don't really discuss intelligence and not necessarily keeping files on intelligence type work. Would that be?
Indeed.
Would that be sort of Special Forces training be classed almost like intelligence then? Do you think?
It would certainly be very highly classified. Yes.
Right. Okay. Interesting to know. Oh, well, we'll have to watch this space in 30 odd years' time then. Or hopefully sooner, if somebody bothers to look into the archives and say that this stuff can be declassified sooner, if it is there.
Yes.
Right, okay. Well, we've got a couple of questions from people in the channel, so what we shall do now is we shall hand over to the hostess with the mostest. This is Agent S, who we don't name because, I don't know really, because we can't be bothered.
It's like the night vision, isn't it?
Yeah, we could name her, but then we'd have to make some effort, and we don't make much effort on this show, so we just call her Agent S.
Right, we've got a question. I've got a couple of questions from Stuart Dyke. Does Nick believe there is a genuine phenomenon?
Right.
Well, I might have to kind of go back for a little clarification there. Are we talking about UFOs? Are we talking about crop circles?
He's probably talking about crop circles there, I would imagine, and what they mean by that is...
Okay, well, I guess you are called CirclemakersTV. So
Do you know Stuart Dyke? He's the Crop Circle Connector, one of the people that does that, their website.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a genuine phenomenon? Well, probably not. It's probably just people. With the small exception of things like mini whirlwinds, which can occasionally swirl something very small and asymmetric, but certainly not any of these complex patterns, which I'm totally convinced are essentially made by folk, not by
you've got no
aliens,
beliefs.
not by Gaia, not by space-based directed energy weapons.
You've got no beliefs at all of anything supernatural?
In relation to crop circles, probably not.
Okay.
Right. Okay, well, there's your answer, Stuart. If you've got any more specific questions, re-ask, and we'll definitely put them across for you. A gentleman called Keith Walklin says, Nick, are you still bound by the Official Secrets Act?
Yes, absolutely. The Official Secrets Act, you sign on your first day in government service. On your last day of government service, you sign effectively a reminder form saying that you understand and accept that even though you're leaving government, it binds you for life. So yes, very easy question to answer.
Right, okay. I seem to remember doing something like that myself, although when I left, I kind of thought, fuck you. Sorry, I've got to have to say. Yes, because I didn't really get on very well with my employer. Yes, so yes, you are kind of tied, but as things come out from official sources, when they come out ahead of time, then it seems as if you may be then released from your obligations to not discuss those things, because I noticed that on certain issues that we've had contact, myself and you, Nick, in the past, now that things have been revealed in the Public Records Office about departments like DSTI and Air Intelligence having perhaps had a little involvement in UFOs and other things, that you're now kind of free to talk about that a bit more than you were at the time.
Yes, that's absolutely spot on. And let me, I think it might be helpful if I drilled down into that a little bit more.
Sure.
Effectively, yes. When the government itself decides to reveal something under the Freedom of Information Act, most times, of course, then of course it's not as if the Official Secrets Act magically disappears, but it is the fact that the government itself has revealed this, and the release of the MOD's UFO files is, of course, the classic example of this. The MOD is coming up to the end of a 4-year program to declassify and release its archive of UFO files, some of which I wrote, and I've been involved in this process. I pop up, of course, as a spokesperson every time these things are revealed.
Sure.
And the point is, I can't preempt what the government does. In other words, I can't say what's going to be in the next batch. But when a batch is released, and of course we had the 7th batch released on, I think it was 3rd of March. Of course, I go on to BBC News and goodness knows where else to talk about all this and to say, yes, this is what we had, this is what we thought, this is what we knew, this is what we believed, this is what we didn't believe. So yeah, that's an ongoing process, and every time the government itself reveals something, of course I can talk about it.
Okay, well, just to follow on from that a little bit, with respect to government documents, I think I might have asked you in the past, had you had a sort of interest to go into a lot of the historical documents when you were there at the MOD and look back through some of the old stuff? And I think you suggested to me at the time, not back into the historical files, but I mean, when these new files become available, is this basically the first time you've got to see them, or did you actually see some of these when you were there but couldn't talk about it? No,
I did see most of them. I mean, the material that I haven't, generally speaking, seen, although I've heard about a lot of it, is actually the more recent material. I mean, I suppose that might be counterintuitive to some people, but of course the point was that after I left the UFO project in 1994, this became somebody else's responsibility.
Yes.
So actually, yes, of course, I saw the more historic material, but it's the material from 1994 to 2009 that, in a sense, I'm less familiar with, although I sort of obviously have an overview of it. But
right.
Yes, I did, obviously, when I was doing the UFO job between 1991 and 1994, there were effectively two sides of it. There was the day-to-day business of investigating newly reported sightings, but there was going back through the archives, doing trend analysis, cold case reviews, that sort of thing. Generally speaking, of course, we couldn't really discuss this. I mean, all of this was, of course, before the Freedom of Information Act was passed. And as you well know, and as you're probably going to pick me up on, call me out over, of course, when you asked me, when I was doing that job, things like, are the defense intelligence staff involved in this? I would either have to deny or do a no comment. But of course, I was in and out of their offices almost on a daily basis.
Right. There you have it, folks. Well, you know, I'm quite glad in a way, because I always suspected that possibly that you knew more than you could say, and it was an awkward time, obviously, to be asking you questions and not be receiving responses. But it's a good thing now that all this has come to pass and that this information is out there. So
yeah, well, it was a very awkward situation because, of course, the UFO project was one of the few parts in MOD, which, of course, is an inherently closed and secretive organization, where there was actually a phone line where you could call in and actually speak to someone, i.e. me. And so I was in an incredibly difficult position doing that job with an extremely high security clearance, trained to say little or nothing, and yet a lot of what I had to do was interact with the public on it. And bear in mind, of course, as I say, this, and sorry to repeat myself, but it's a very important point. This was years before the Freedom of Information Act came into force. So it was a almost unique situation in MOD that you had a situation where, for example, defense intelligence staff was involved, and yet some poor individual, i.e. myself, had to pick up the phone and speak to people about these issues. I was in an incredibly difficult position.
I mean, can you tell us where? I'm just fascinated. Where in the MOD were these places then? DSTI, DI-55, and those sorts of things. Are you allowed to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Defence intelligence staff was essentially based in Old War Office building on Whitehall. It was building right next to Ministry of Defence main building on Horse Guards.
Right. And DI-55?
Yes. DI-55 is part of the Defence Intelligence Staff.
So they weren't in the Metropole building then?
They were for a while. We all tended to swap around a bit. So both Metropole and OWOB, as we called it, OWOB being Old War Office Building.
Right.
But it's all in that little central part of Whitehall.
Oh, right, okay. I now know that they're selling off the old Metropole building, so if somebody wants to go and have a look at a bit of history and where all this secret stuff went on, you should try and get a tour, perhaps, because it's all emptied out now.
Metropole used to be a very famous hotel, and then the War Office took it over, I think, in the First World War. It became a government building, and now, ironically, I mean, this is the cyclic nature of things, I believe it's actually going to become a hotel again.
Yeah. Yes. Well, very good. Okay, well, thank you for that. We'll hand over to Agent S now, who's got a question from somebody in the chat channel.
Okay, Nick, we've got a repetitive question from CirclemakersTV, Stuart Dyke, which is, any ideas about the recent Jerusalem sighting?
Almost certainly a well-planned and coordinated hoax. I've spoken to a couple of people in Israel about this, and without wanting to level any direct personal accusations, but some of the people making the claims have their background and credentials have been called into question, and it does look as if this is yet another sort of rather spectacular YouTube video hoax. I mean, we've seen several of these. They go viral on the internet every few months. We had the M5. We have the jet fighters chasing UFOs up the M5. We've got Jerusalem UFOs over the Dome of the Rock shrine. It just looks like the same thing.
Okay, and we've got one from Wraithy as well. He says, did he ever go down the hole at HMS Warrior?
I can't actually recollect whether I did or didn't. I'm very sorry to sound so vague.
What is HMS Warrior?
Well, I'm not quite sure what is and isn't in the public domain about underground facilities. I mean, it sounds incredibly conspiratorial, but generally it isn't. I mean, things like the Joint Operations Centre, now renamed the Defence Crisis Management Centre, all these sorts of things tend to be underground for fairly obvious reasons. I've been in a few underground places, but just to do war games and exercises and things, nothing more sinister.
Right, so...
no aliens in the basement.
I think it's been on television that Northolt...
I think it has, yeah.
Northolt has got underground, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you'll excuse me...
You're excused.
It is very difficult sometimes to actually recall things that I have picked up through, I don't know, watching a TV show and
or official
reading
channels.
Something in the paper. Or exactly. So to give you an example, during the first Gulf War, people thought I was the most stupid individual on the face of the planet because they would ask me some fairly basic questions, knowing that I was at MOD and involved with this, and I would say, don't know, because I had to. Because it's almost impossible sometimes to differentiate and actually be clear in one's own mind on what one's heard, on Newsnight, as opposed to what one's heard at a TS code word briefing the afternoon before. So you just have to err on the side of caution and say, I don't know.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe we can come back to that if anybody's got any more questions, but let us know if anybody knows what it is HMS Warrior is. Tell us in channel and we'll discuss that.
Well, you can Google it. Google it.
Okay, there we are then. So yes, somebody said Northwood. Yes, that's what we were just mentioning. There's RAF.
I mean, I've been to PGHQ at Northwood. That's Permanent Joint Headquarters.
Right. Have you been to that High Wycombe place, the underground?
No, that's a completely different place. High Wycombe
Is it? Yes.
High
Strike
Wycombe
Command,
used
isn't
to
it?
be- yeah, it used to be Strike Command. I think even I'm way out of date now. I think they've changed all their titles. But back in my day, High Wycombe was Strike Command, and Northwood was PJHQ, Permanent Joint Headquarters.
Right. Okay. Do you want to ask any more questions from channel?
And
Yeah.
I've been to both of those places, and I've sort of, poked around, shall we say.
As much as one can, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, I say poked around. What I mean is I've actually been working, not permanently based there, but I've gone on familiarization visits and to do things like war games and exercises and briefings and such like.
Right.
There's one from Andrew Perker. Hi, Andrew. Nick, who funds your work now?
Who funds it? Well, no one funds it. I work essentially as a journalist and broadcaster. So if I do something for the BBC will pay me. If I do something for, if I write an article for a national newspaper, they'll pay me. If I do some promotional work for a film company, they'll pay me. So there's no as a freelance author, journalist, and broadcaster. There's no single paymaster.
Right. Okay. I think they probably just want you to admit that you're working for MI5 or something now.
Well, someone
right.
mentioned Rothschild, so...
Oh, the Rothschilds. Do the Rothschilds pay you?
Well, that would be very nice, but sadly they don't.
And you wouldn't be able to tell us if they did?
No, I wouldn't.
Yes. Okay. Now everybody will take that seriously now, but not everything on this show is serious, folks. But maybe Mr. Pope is, but I certainly am not. Right. Well, my question would be, I suppose, from the the point you just made about going to underground bases is then, if one does war games, then that would make me think that if there was a real serious situation, that you may have been one of the people who would be called in to actually do the real thing, because you would be asked to, go underground and live in a bunker if something serious happened.
Yes, that's probably true. But bear in mind that most of what I was doing in these war games was effectively just being a briefer.
Right.
To give you an example, I'll give you a real-world example, because actually, of course, the war games are only exercises to prepare you for the real thing, and I've done both. So let's cut to the chase and do the real thing.
Right.
In the first Gulf War, for example, I worked in the Air Force Operations Room in the Joint Operations Center, and my job was basically, I was the only civilian in a small cell of Air Force officers, and most of what I did was getting raw data about things like missions that we'd flown against the Iraqi regime, battle damage assessment, whether or not we'd suffered any casualties ourselves. And I would have to take this raw data and distill it down into the essential points for ministers and the service chiefs.
Right, okay.
So much of what a civilian does in the MOD when you're doing war games and things is you're practicing those sorts of things, and then obviously one doesn't relish a war, but when it does come to something like Gulf War or Kosovo, something like that, you find yourself doing this in real time, and you're basically a briefer.
Right, okay. Well, that's very interesting. So what we've got to basically remember then is if there's World War III, then maybe Nick's got a free ticket down to the bunkers, and we've got to get round your house straight away and chain ourselves to your leg, and then we'll be okay then.
Unfortunately, now I've been out. I'm out of date now. I mean, my knowledge of procedures, standard operating procedures, doctrine, tactics, etc., is well, I don't know, 5 years out of date now. So sadly, I will not be getting an invitation.
So
the bunker.
Oh dear, you'll have to become irradiated with the rest of us
I
then.
will just have to kind of slum it with the common herd and hope for the best.
Yes, discarded into the street. No longer MOD. But okay, well, I just should say to people who are watching in the video thing that if you notice, we've got another guest in the studio tonight. He's become a little bit of a mascot of ours now. We've got Mr. Glickman, who's actually sleeping at the moment. He's sleeping on my bed. So you probably have to tune into the channel to kind of get what's going on with these little in jokes we've got. But Mr. Glickman is there on the bed, and he's listening in intently, I think. But he's not doing very much.
Not if he's asleep, he isn't.
Well, I think he's just pretending not to move. He doesn't want to become part of the program tonight. So anyway,
We've got some more questions.
Over we go to the questions then.
Can we do a couple more?
You can.
Wraithy says, could you populate the idea that the planet's ionosphere is currently attracting electrically charged life forms?
Would you?
Go
on. How much money do you want, Nick?
I'm absolutely stumped on that. I have no recollection of doing any such thing.
Oh.
What I would say is that obviously I was involved in the setting up, though not the writing, of something called Project Condign and the consequent Condign report.
Sounds a bit rude, that, but...
Well, it suggested that exotic atmospheric plasmas might be an explanation for some UFO sightings, but the idea, I don't know, bioforms, I mean, it sounds like something harking back to Trevor James Constable and Wilhelm Reich or something like that. I mean, it's really not my field at all.
Okay,
Right.
We had another question I wanted to get in for Sonia. Nick, do you think that Rendlesham Forest incident was real?
Rendlesham Forest.
Sorry.
Yep.
It was undoubtedly real, but what it was, I don't know. I mean, this is obviously Britain's best known and arguably most compelling UFO incident, a multiple witness sighting involving military personnel, predominantly United States Air Force, security police and law enforcement personnel based at Bentwaters and Woodbridge in Suffolk. But what they saw, none of us know. I mean, we've just passed the 30th anniversary of this case. There's huge controversy. There's all sorts of different theories being bandied around. Bottom line is, we don't know. Something happened, something which neither the Ministry of Defense nor the United States Air Force was able to satisfactorily resolve. But whether this was, as some people believe, extraterrestrial, intertemporal, interdimensional, or just something else exotic but maybe quite prosaic, unknown.
Okay. Somebody's saying Operation Lightning Strike, which I believe is the name of one of your books. We could go on and have a little chat about your writing career and mention some of your books. That might be a good idea, is it? You've had 4 titles, I believe, published. Correct me if I'm wrong. Open Skies, Closed Minds being the first, and The Uninvited being the second. Operation Thunderchild, which is described as being a novel, a fiction novel, and Operation Lightning Strike, which again is another fiction novel. So I believe that's the books that you've written.
That's correct.
Yeah, you haven't written any more then?
No. People ask me whether I've got any plans to write any more. I'm pretty much concentrating on television work at the moment, so it's a little bit difficult to find the time to write a book, which, in my experience, has taken me between 6 months at the least and a year at the most.
Right.
But to go back to the question, Operation Lightning Strike is my second sci-fi novel. What I decided to do, having written in a non-fiction way about UFOs and alien abductions, was to try my hand at sci-fi, which I've always been a fan of and enjoyed. So, having had obviously very good contacts with a major UK publisher, I decided to submit a synopsis for a sci-fi novel. I was offered a 2-book deal, and Operation Thunderchild and Operation Lightning Strike was what came of that. And what I was trying to do with those books was to write something that was as much techno-thriller as sci-fi. In other words, you could almost take the aliens out. I mean, these were alien invasion stories, but they had to stand up in terms of military strategy and doctrine and tactics, in terms of the way in which government works in a crisis and in a war. So it blended material that I'd come across on MOD's UFO project with more general sort of security and warfighting and political points that I picked up in my wider MOD career. And that was why these 2 novels actually had to be vetted by the Ministry of Defence before they were published, which I think for science fiction novels is absolutely without precedent anywhere in the world ever.
Yes.
But obviously I tried to tell a good story, but I had fun with it. And writing non-fiction can be very dry, and you're constantly having to check references and names and dates and facts. With science fiction, you can let your imagination run free, and that's why I enjoyed it.
Yes, I mean, I think some people were suggesting, and you might just briefly mention whether or not there's any truth in this, but some people were saying, well, this sounds like some sort of story that might have gone on and been dealt with in the Ministry of Defence on some level, and some of it is fiction and some of it is real. And I think people were trying to wonder whether or not you were trying to suggest it's something that may have gone on in the MOD.
That's half true. Let me put it this way. My publishers kind of actively, obviously, promoted the tagline, "The truth can only be told in fiction," just because it was good marketing. But yes, of course, I drew on and incorporated into the story the sorts of claims that people directly involved with cases like Rendlesham Forest and Roswell, their testimony. So yeah, I drew in a fairly accurate way from the UFO literature, but essentially, obviously I use that as the base, but most of what I wrote was obviously just from my imagination.
Right, okay. Well, we'll go across to a question from Andrew Perker, who's in the chat channel, and Agent S will...
Yes, we've... Nick, would you agree that us, the public, are more in the know? How about the UFO phenomenon rather than the government?
Well, no, I wouldn't. I think most times government probably knows a little bit more than is publicly declared. I mean, the public, of course, people have all sorts of experiences, UFO sightings, whatever, but that doesn't give them some sort of monopoly on the truth. I mean, generally speaking, simply by virtue of the resources available to government in terms of things like radar systems, satellites, the ability to analyze and enhance photos and videos. On most things, governments do or can find out more.
But are you saying that you have no paranormal aspects in your mind of any events associated with crop circles? That's from Sonia.
I think that she's saying it is, does Nick think that crop circles, even if man-made, have some paranormal aspects?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've certainly heard even those skeptical people who claim to have made circles themselves say that strange things have happened out in the fields.
But in your mind?
Well, I don't know. I haven't gone out and made circles myself, and obviously because of the wider issue of trespass and criminal damage, I wouldn't condone that. So I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, have you heard any of the stuff about, circle makers claiming that they make the circles, but other people have paranormal experiences in man-made circles? Are you aware of that sort of...
Oh, yeah, very much so. I've certainly come across a number of people who claim to make circles and to be extremely skeptical, but to have seen strange, anomalous balls of light, to have perhaps experienced other things that might be labeled paranormal. I'm certainly aware of that, but to answer the question, I'm aware of it, but have no direct knowledge or experience of it.
Right, okay. Well, we're just coming up on 9 o'clock at the moment, and we've got to ask, would Mr. Pope like to stay on a little bit longer?
Yes, I'm happy to stay on for a little bit longer.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
We'll see how things run.
See how it pans out.
We left things somewhat open, so I'm happy to carry on for a little bit.
Okay, well, what we can do is, because we can break the show up for a little bit, if you want to pop off and get yourself a cup of tea or something, we can. We're just going to show a little trailer of something that somebody sent in, and so if you want to have a little break and come back and speak to us in a second, we're going to run a trailer for the Crop Circle Connectors new video DVD, which is a double DVD, and I think it explains itself. So we'll catch you in a minute, Nick.
Okay, sure thing.
Thanks.
Do I hold on the line?
You can hold on the line or make that cup of coffee, whichever you... And mine's got 2 sugars, by the way.
I could do both.
Okay, thanks. 2 sugars and milk.
I might have something stronger.
Okay, all right. Speak to you in a sec, Nick. Right, we'll fade Nick down so he can still hear us, but we can't hear him. And this is the trailer for the Crop Circle Connectors video. Oh, is that not doing it? Oh, well, let's try this one.
Crop Circle Connector is proud to announce a special double bill DVD. The first production features many of the most meaningful crop circles to appear in the 21st century. The second production is an exploration and in-depth survey of the 2010 season. Crop Circles of the 21st Century and Circles 2010. We take you on a 21st century odyssey where you can clearly see the relationships and meanings between the formations over the years. It is an illuminating experience to see so many circles grouped together in this meaningful manner. The music soundtrack by the Response Collective evokes the spirit of the crop circles. This is a revealing and groundbreaking event. Crop Circle Connector celebrates crop circles of the 21st century. This, together with our second production, Circles 2010, makes our double bill DVD one to cherish.
Didn't last as long as I thought it was going to, but there we are. Right, okay. Well, that was the Crop Circle Connectors trailer for their video, 2 DVDs of the last 21st century's crop circles, the best of, and also last year, 2010, the best crop circles of 2010. Or usually most of the crop circles of 2010, because they usually cover them all if they've got the photos of them. So we'll obviously go across to the channel and ask if anybody wants to ask any more questions, but also if anybody wants to Skype in, there's a possibility that we might be able to get 2 people on a what's known as a conference call on Skype. So if you want to Skype in, you can try to do that, and we can possibly link you in, and you can ask your question directly to Mr. Pope. So by all means, give us a text if you want to do that, and then we'll call in and we'll see if it works. We could crash the machine, but it's always worth trying. So let's see if Mr. Pope is still there. Hello, Nick.
Yes, I am.
He's still there. He's very faithful and hasn't dropped the line on us. So obviously we haven't offended him yet. Let's see if we can in the second half. You got feedback. You can hear me. Oh, hang on. Why did that go on then? Can you? No feedback now. Sorry, okay, yes. This little video mixing setup is a bit weird. It sort of pushes all sorts of buttons on its own. Right, okay, so What I was going to say is I've got some information recently that you got married. So congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you very much. It was all very sudden. I met Elizabeth actually at the end of October last year, and she has no interest in UFOs. We simply met at a hotel where a UFO convention that I was speaking at was held.
Right.
And we, somewhat appropriately, we met at the bar. We danced, we had a drink, and then we got married, as you do.
What, that quick?
Well, not that quick, but fairly quickly. We actually got married. Well, like I say, we met at the end of October 2009, and we actually got married on 25th of February this year. But obviously, she being American and me being a Brit, we're not yet co-located. And we worked out, just as a little interesting piece of trivia, that the day on which we got married was actually the 12th day that we'd spent in each other's company.
Right, okay.
But when you're sure, you're sure. So there you are.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I was going to ask you because, obviously having a lot of success with women, where am I going wrong? Can you give me some advice?
Well, I'm playing the whole Fox Mulder thing. My agent says, talk up the whole real Fox Mulder thing, and that's sexy. You're obviously not tapping into that vibe.
Right. I think we've actually got a photo of you here with, if we scroll through, we've got a photo of you. Keep going. Is this
the one of me with David Duchovny?
Well, yeah, somewhere, but it's not it's not here now.
You're right. Well,
we'll find it in a minute.
It's quite an interesting anecdote, I think, because one of the things that I do now that I've left the MOD is I do PR for film companies when there's a new sci-fi movie out, on the basis of the fact that I used to work on the UFO issue for the government, and I'm a sci-fi author myself.
Right.
So I was doing some work for 20th Century Fox, and of course they invited me to the UK premiere of the movie, and I got to meet David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson, Chris Carter. And there's a picture of me somewhere, which you're probably either flagging up now or trying to find.
I downloaded it, and I'm sure I have it on my machine, but it's not there at the moment. So we're just going back to your website and.
Well, yes, it's on my website, which is nickpope.net. But there's a picture of me and an incredibly jet-lagged David Duchovny. The poor guy had to come from promoting the US release to promoting the UK release, and it was quite an interesting insight. I hadn't actually done a walk up the red carpet before, but I did get to do it on this. And what I then discovered was that the real A-listers walk up the red carpet, go into the venue, walk out the back door, and get back on the plane and go home.
Yes, yeah.
Well, with the slight exception of the fact that David Duchovny did stay for a couple of champagne cocktails, and we got to chat, and obviously someone took the photo that's on my website. But that's where you're going wrong.
I haven't got David Duchovny as a mate. Yeah, there we are.
You're not hanging out with those Hollywood A-listers. It's that glitter. It kind of.
Yeah, we've got him up on screen at the moment. So very highbrowing with the stars there. So good. Well, glad to hear you got out and did that. I mean, I saw Will Smith once on The Big Breakfast, which was quite interesting. Got a photo with him. So yes, it didn't do much good for me though. I think everybody forgot after about 10 minutes I'd ever been on the show.
I used to love The Big Breakfast. I was a fairly regular contributor on that. And I remember when Zoe Ball was one of the presenters.
Yeah, met her.
There, and she's lovely. And yeah, no, it was a great show. It was
Mark
very sad
Little.
when that folded.
Mark Little and what was the one that did the what was it now? The space thing. Do you remember the space thing where they faked some people going into space saying, "Oh, you're actually going on board"?
Yes.
Him. I can't remember the guy who presented that. Yeah. Yes, and Zig and Zag. Did you ever go on with Zig and Zag?
Yeah, I didn't go on with Zig and Zag. In fact, I remember on my first ever appearance on Big Breakfast, they said, you'll be with Vanessa Feltz. And she's lovely, and I've met her since on a couple of shows. But then when they said you'll be interviewed by Zoe Ball instead, I think I felt that was, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, she's twice the woman I could ever be. Very, very large, very large personality.
Anyway, I'm happily married now, so I'm not going to get into a discussion about the relative merits of various female TV presenters and celebrities.
I know it's not as if there's enough photos of you with them on your website, Nick. Okay. Right, have we got any questions in channel from anyone?
We do. I just have to locate one.
What about Sonia?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I asked that question. If, as you say, Nick, there seems to be something going on in man-made crop circles, then why hasn't that been investigated more?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I think one could level a criticism at the UFO and the crop circle community itself and say maybe there's a lack of scientific methodology there in terms of, for example, double-blind experiments where you take samples of the crop from within a formation and from without, ditto with soil samples, search with metal detectors. But in all of this, of course, I would stress that this must be done with the permission of the landowner, and it's essential to get the cooperation of the farmer if you want to do this. And of course, many people in the farming community are extremely aggravated by this and regard it as trespass and criminal damage. But if you do get farmers who are prepared to work on this issue, then let's, in looking into this, apply a scientific methodology.
I mean, I'm kind of interested now because earlier on you sort of suggested to us that when there are things that you may not be able to say and you can't remember whether you heard them on television or whether or not you heard from an investigation of some description or something that you knew about but may not be able to talk about, that you might use the terminology, I don't know. Now, you just said a couple of seconds ago when we said, has this been investigated more? And you said, I don't know. And I'm thinking, maybe I could read into that.
Well, maybe you could, but most times I don't know means I don't know. Okay,
most times. Yes, okay. Leaves it open for an investigation of its own, I think. I think I saw that one of the first crop circles that you saw was apparently with the dolphin pictogram that appeared near Lockridge. And that was when you first joined. I think it was written up on your nickpope.net site. And also we should bring that up on screen. Perhaps we'll put the little link for your site. It's www.nickpope.net. So this is where we're getting this from. So yes, you saw when you joined the department, Air Staff 2A, I believe it was, wasn't it? Your department?
Secretariat Air Staff 2A.
Yeah. That was one of the first.
I call it the UFO project simply because does what it says on the tin description.
Yes.
Talking about SecAS 2A will be meaningless to 99.9% of the population. So UFO project says it better.
Yes. So I'm just interested, in a bit of history, but maybe about yourself then, really. Prior to going in to the MOD, what was your interest in UFOs and maybe even crop circles? Did you used to read books on this subject prior to taking up that position, or were you somebody who literally didn't know much about this at all?
I knew very little. I had an interest in sci-fi. I probably, as a child, read, because my parents were quite classically minded, H.G. Wells. I read The Time Machine and The War of the Worlds. I was quite interested in Asimov and Frank Herbert, for example, the Dune novels. But
yes.
But I had no I had no knowledge or interest in UFOs. I think my only exposure to the issue before being posted to the UFO project was having read Charles Berlitz's book, The Bermuda Triangle, which contained a chapter on UFOs.
Right.
So that was about as far as it went.
Right. Okay.
I mean, to me, this in 1991, when I was given this job, this was just another government post. And bear in mind, I had very mixed feelings about even taking the job.
Mm.
I was very ambitious at the time, and sorts of jobs that young, ambitious people in MOD wanted were obviously the posts in ministers' offices. You wanted to be APS, Assistant Private Secretary, in one of the Undersecretary of State's offices. Those were the posts that you wanted to get if you really wanted to make your mark and get on. So when I was told you'll be doing the UFO job, obviously part of me felt, well, that's kind of interesting. But part of me felt, my goodness, am I going to get tarred with this brush of having done the nut job post? What's this going to look like on the CV?
Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, I suppose did anybody sort of say to you, "Look, Nick, you don't really want that because it might be something that will kind of slow your career chances down," or did they just let you make up your own mind about it?
The latter. It was my call. I was offered the job and I took it. To a large extent because the job that I'd been doing beforehand, I had been getting increasingly disillusioned with. It was a large part of the job was just it was a combination of writing briefs for senior military personnel visiting Air Force bases and dealing with the issue of Air Force accidents, which was always pretty depressing, obviously, because it usually involved death or serious injury.
Mm. Okay. Now, I don't know what you're going to say to this question. You can answer it or you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. This is something from the channel, but it says, ask him if he's ever seen a UFO as a child.
No, I haven't.
Well, there you are then. The second half of it says...
I'd love to. I
Yes.
mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I would love to. And if I could tell a slightly personal anecdote, on one occasion I had an incredibly realistic dream that I was driving a car over a suspension bridge, and all the traffic was stopped and backed up, and everyone got out of their cars and was looking out and looking up, and there was this huge triangular-shaped UFO. And I thought, and this was years after I'd done the UFO job for the MOD, I thought, my goodness, I've seen one at last. At last I've seen one. And then I woke up and I was so disappointed. It was like, no, it's just a dream.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure whether or not you wanted to discuss some of this stuff, but I know you mentioned in one of your books that I read that there was a missing time experience where in the United States where it appeared you'd gone in a car through a large distance of desert, or you'd been driving for a long period of time, but when you actually sort of looked at the time, it seemed like not much had passed, and also you'd have had to have passed a toll booth and paid for a ticket. And
well, I've seen all sorts
like
of stories about myself written on the internet in relation to experiences I may or may not have had, but...
was that not in one of your books?
It was in one of my books, but it was not my experience. It was actually someone else's. The circumstances around that story are complex, to say the least.
Ah, so you were writing about somebody else's experience, not your own?
I was protecting someone's identity, as I always have to do when I deal with these issues.
I see, okay. Interesting.
But I may have given the contrary impression on some occasions for other reasons.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I mean, have you mentioned this to people in the public sphere? Has that actually been mentioned? Because I didn't know whether that had been discussed previous, or have we got a sort of slight exclusive on that story there?
No, I never get into discussions about the identity of UFO witnesses that don't want to go public, particularly if they've got a military background.
Right. Okay. I'm getting more and more clues all the time there. If they've got a military background, hint, hint. Okay, thanks for that. So, well, if that was a bit of new information, very good. I don't know what sorts of areas we're supposed to stay out of, but I mean, I am kind of interested in this area. So I mean, I'll just ask as a broad over thing then. Has anybody in your family ever had an interest in any of this, or I mean, do you come from a family that is kind of open-minded? Sort of, if you ask them about ghosts and things like that, what would they say? Absolute rubbish, or oh well, not possible, isn't it? And do your family believe in that sort of thing? Are they, or maybe even a religious family?
I'm not going to go into much detail about this, but because it's been published fairly recently in Colonel John Alexander's book, I can say, which you may have known anyway, I can't recall, that my father was actually a former
naval
deputy chief scientific advisor at the MOD, and actually director of the Royal Aeronautical Establishment at Farnborough. And he was pretty sceptical on the UFO issue.
I seem to have a recollection. I could be wrong here because my memory's pretty bad. I thought your father was a navy sort of side.
No.
No?
No, not at all.
Okay.
My father was one of this country's leading specialists on aerodynamics, and he was basically an aeronautical engineer.
Right.
Who enjoyed a long and distinguished career with the Ministry of Defence. As I say, director of RAE Farnborough, assistant chief scientific advisor projects. His areas of expertise included aerodynamics, exotic weapon systems, propulsion, things like that. It's all in John Alexander's book. John Alexander was one of the few people to actually make the connection.
Right, okay. Okay, well, there we go. We're getting some interesting information there then. But not very interested in these areas then, your family sort of no background there.
Well, my father was pretty skeptical about the UFO phenomenon, and there's this little soundbite in John Alexander's book, which was essentially that in relation to accusations that the British government might have recovered extraterrestrial technology, hardware, whatever, my father had said was to the effect of, well, if we had a saucer, it would have been in my hangar.
There we go. So, Dad of Pope actually keeps UFO secrets in his hangar. No, we're only kidding. But interesting very interesting, because a man of that standing possibly could be in the loop for that sort of thing if there was something.
Well, and that's exactly the point. And when someone like my father says, look, actually, and bear in mind, chief scientific advisor in the MOD is always an outside appointment from academia.
Right.
The real senior position is always the deputy chief scientific advisor, because that's the government insider that's done that for 40 years.
Right.
And if there were crashed saucers at Farnborough or dead aliens at Porton Down, well, my father was in charge of both those facilities.
Well, does that mean that in 30, 50 or 100 years' time, well, maybe 100's a bit long, but, 30, 50 years' time, your dad might sort of turn around to you and say, you know what? We did. Well, I couldn't tell you.
that would be a little bit, kind of scary because he died several years ago. So sadly, he will not be turning around to me and saying
Sorry,
that in
Nick.
a few years' time. But,
Sorry.
If papers are ever discovered in which his name is linked to any of this, and if it does turn out to be true, I'll be very disappointed. I'll say, Dad, you didn't level with me.
Be like, Dad, you knew it was my job.
You knew all the time, and you didn't tell me, and I was just,
Oh,
I
dear.
will be very disappointed.
Well, maybe he's left a secret box for you somewhere, and you have to find out where it is and dig it up. Maybe there's a clue there
It's
somewhere.
under the rose bush in the third, yeah. Anyway.
Yes. Okay. Well, interesting, sort of speculation there, but not necessarily factual information. But I'm sure some people will start spinning that one out now. Okay, what have we got in channel then? Let's go across.
I've got another one from Wraithy. Does he know Air Vice Marshal Derek Han?
Han? H-A-N-N?
Yes.
Or H-A-N-D?
Double N.
I think I do, actually. I can't remember where the heck I know him from. I think he might have been an ACAS, Assistant Chief of the Air Staff, that I had dealings with at some time. But and sort of apologies if this sounds a bit vague, but having done 21 years in the Ministry of Defence, you meet so many people, generals, admirals, air marshals, etc. But I'm fairly sure he was either an ACAS, which is Assistant Chief of the Air Staff, or AMP, Air Member for Personnel. In fact, I think, on recollection, he might have been the latter. He might have been AMP, in which case I, during one of my MOD tours, was his briefer on various personnel issues.
Right, okay. Well, Wraithy, if you've got...
But that's a very interesting insider question, because that's not a name that I've heard in a while.
Well, I think Wraithy just says at the bottom of the chat channel, he just says he's right. So maybe it's somebody that this gentleman Wraithy knows. Maybe he just wanted to check whether you really are who you say you are. And
well, I hope I am who I say I am.
Yes. Okay. We've got Andrew Perkins asking, well, do you want to ask?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Nick, are you still asked to investigate UFO cases by the government?
No, I'm not.
No.
Very
Okay.
No, he
simple answer
doesn't
on that
work.
one. No.
Doesn't work
I'm
for the
not.
government anymore.
Once you're out, you tend to be out. I do get invited back for the occasional retirement do, Christmas party, cocktail drinks, but no, they don't say to me, Nick, old boy, come back and get back in the saddle and look at this case. What do you think? No.
Well, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but it seemed like your public speaking on it at times might have been a little bit of a sort of sore issue to some in the MOD. What would you say to that? I mean, they tolerated it, didn't they? And just about allowed publishing of books, but it's not something they normally like somebody inside to do, is it?
No, publishing books is there's a certain sort of not quite one of us vibe about all that. I've never been a whistleblower, and I would never break the Official Secrets Act. So I'm I always play by the rules. But even so, yes, you're quite right. There is this, as I say, this certain not quite one of us, not the done thing about writing books, especially given that I was still in service. All four of my books were actually written whilst I was still working for the government.
Right, okay. Well, and a very interesting question has come up from Keith Walklin in channel, and he says, Nick, do you believe Gary McKinnon discovered non-terrestrial beings at the head of military forces in the USA?
I don't know. That is a very interesting question, and I'll obviously have to be careful about it because legal proceedings are ongoing, and generally speaking, one shouldn't discuss such matters while the legal process is still going on. The fact that he has Asperger's syndrome is interesting and difficult because things that you and I might think, oh well, you would do this, you wouldn't do this, don't apply in the Asperger's world. I mean, one of the big issues is, well, if you found this, why didn't you print it off? Surely we only have your word for this, and that doesn't really compute in the Asperger's world. My own view, I don't know. It's very difficult to call. I haven't met him. I think the case has dragged on long enough. I hope that behind the scenes a deal's been done and that various people in the US government are maybe coming around to the view that let's get this guy to give us a tutorial on beefing up our internet security and let's drop the charges against him. I think he's clearly suffered enough.
I mean, has anybody? I don't know whether you could comment about this, but I mean, are you aware of any hacking attempts like that into the British Ministry of Defence and their systems, looking for UFO stuff?
I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's happened. My own view, and I say this as someone whose last job in MOD was actually in a security role, is that actually we should not be hunting down and persecuting these hackers and putting them through the judicial system. Actually, what we should be doing is saying, hey, these people are actually rather brighter than we are. Let's use them. Let's kind of try and get them on side and get them to do a sort of health check of our systems. So rather than prosecuting people like Gary McKinnon and trying to throw him in jail, actually what people should be doing is saying to him, can you have a look at our systems, see if you can hack in? If you can, tell us how we can stop people doing that, and let's be friends.
Yes, I think that's a very sensible position. And
I won't say too much, but I'm sure that's maybe what's going on. I mean, there's a body of people who want to throw the book at hackers to send a message to deter people, but the really smart people will be saying, let's talk. Tell us what you know. Let's share information. I mean, just to go slightly off topic, but I know a lot of fairly senior police officers, and they often go around, for example, and interview burglars and criminals and say, how do you pick what house to rob? When do you decide to go in or what puts you off? And that's what the administration should be doing with Gary McKinnon and people like that. We should be learning from them.
Yes.
Because the other thing, and it's quite interesting, is that people who are autistic or who have high-functioning autism like Asperger's, actually in many, many ways are actually brighter than most of the rest of us. And we should actually be learning from them, not demonizing them.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. I mean, I had a lot of contact with Matthew Bevan years ago, and I mean, they never... he was another hacker into United States defense systems, and I think he was classed as at a Senate hearing as the greatest threat to world peace since Adolf Hitler, because he hacked into nuclear launch code systems and things like this. And he basically got off with it, but he was always waiting and thinking to himself, well, are they ever going to contact me and ask me how I did this, or do they not want to know? And ultimately, I think 15, 20 years after it's actually happened, the answer is no, they didn't want to know, and they never did contact him, and they never used that skill and expertise, his knowledge, and that's a terrible shame. And I know one doctor of mathematics called I'm just forgetting his name now, Harry Beckhow, and he worked on the Enigma code cracking project. So he was very high secret clearance, and worked on the computer systems and mathematics behind that. And he said this himself. He said, as an intelligence officer, I would scream out for this sort of information from people that knew what they were talking about, and we should utilize them. So mirroring what you're saying really is that why not just speak to these people rather than putting them in jail and losing access to that knowledge and information. Yeah. So have we got any questions in channel?
Yes, we do.
Are you okay? Are you okay for carrying on, Nick? I don't know. We're on at 9:30.
I'll carry on for a little while.
Okay.
Obviously, what I hadn't realised is that we'd scheduled this information for the day of the Manchester United-Chelsea match, which I kind of wanted to watch. But maybe someone can text or tweet or email in how that's
the score.
Going or how
Yes.
it's gone.
Well, you could have had it on in the corner of the room, you see, watching that, and
I could have done, but it wouldn't be the same.
you could have acted like you had Tourette's syndrome then, and every once in a while into the channel you could have shouted, "Fuck no!"
Yes,
Fuck,
but I'm
bollock,
an Arsenal
bollock,
fan.
shit,
We're
bollock.
not in it anymore after the most outrageous sending off decision ever. But we're going slightly off topic.
Are you ready
Okay.
for the result?
Do you want the
Okay.
result? It says MNU 1
Man United 1.
CH 0.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right. Okay.
He's very deadpan there.
Well,
There's no.
no. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm an Arsenal fan, but
Oh, right.
I'm always interested to watch a match at this level. I love football, and of course, it's only the first leg.
Right. It means nothing to me at all. It's like alien language that I simply don't understand. But okay.
Well, it's funny when I put this on my Facebook, when I say something like going down to my local sports bar to watch this football match. Sometimes these threads go on for like about 200 posts, and it's not long before someone brings it round to aliens, and it's like, excuse me, I do actually do a lot more than UFOs. I mean, I commentate, as I say, on conspiracy theories, space, science fiction, fringe science, but I've only got to put something on Facebook like going to watch the Arsenal versus Barcelona match, and someone will post something like, "Let's hope the aliens ensure that your team win." It's like, no, get me away from this.
Yes. Well, there's a question in channel for me now. It's just going back over what we've talked about. It says, "What ground rules have you pre-agreed for this interview?" I think all I could say is that I said, "Is there any subject matters that we shouldn't go into?" And Nick said personal stuff, maybe not. And I've actually kind of pushed it a little bit that way. So Nick's kind of let me go on that one. So thank you very much.
Yes, I tend not to discuss personal information, but for example, I mean, the fact that I got married a few weeks ago, it's on the internet, the photos and things, so I don't mind discussing that. But generally speaking, obviously, as someone who's ex-government, I try and stick to the facts rather than the opinions. I try to stick to the official work I've done rather than the more personal stuff.
Right. Okay. So your own visits to crop circles, then, have you been down and seen any and been in any? I'm sure you must have in your time.
Yes, indeed, and I think this is documented in the crop circle part of my nickpope.net website, but I think from recollection, I was actually one of the first people to step foot in the Julia set.
Right.
The famous crop circle just off the A303 near Stonehenge. And as I recall, there was nothing particularly sinister about this. I was simply, it was, and I know a lot of people might doubt this or dispute it, but as I recall, as I recollect, it was actually quite innocent. I was driving with a friend down the A303 to go for a summer break somewhere, and we simply, from a slightly higher point, saw this formation and thought, whoa, wait a minute, there's a crop circle, let's go and have a look. But as it transpired, I was one of the first people physically to step foot in the Julia set.
And what were your feelings on that then when you got there? Did you have any idea of the scale and the sort of the brilliant design of that particular crop circle? Or
What time of day was it?
Yeah,
I absolutely cannot remember. I mean, this was
morning, afternoon.
Well, it was 10 years ago, I guess, if not more, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember when Julia set even was.
No, but which time of day was it? Morning or afternoon that you went in?
No idea.
Can't remember.
You know, show me someone that has an absolute 100% recollection of, oh yes, I did this, I did that. And I'll show you someone who's either lying or confabulating. You spot the real people when they say, I have no blankety-blank idea. This was 10 years ago. Don't ask me about it. I have no recollection.
Yes. As long as they're not, they're not sticking to the Official Secrets Act.
No, I honestly, I have no idea. No idea at all.
Okay, but interesting. You know, if you were one of the first people, who told you were one of the first people? Then, if you're not too sure about the timing of you going in there.
I knew I was because how do I know I was? Afterwards, I think I checked the date that people said it appeared, and it turned out that we had simply, by chance, been driving down the A303 on the day, or certainly the first day it had ever been mentioned in public.
And you saw people in it? That's what gave away the fact that it was there, so you...
No, I don't think we even saw anyone in it.
Really? Oh, it's interesting. How did you know it was there?
Well, no, we were in a slightly higher part of the road, and my friend Michelle was driving, and I was obviously able to take my eyes off the road through not driving. And I happened to look to, I have no idea whether it was even the right or the left-hand side, but I was obviously looking around, and I said to Michelle, wait, stop. There's a crop circle down there. Let's have a look.
Now, I think this is going to get very interesting, the debate on this one, because I could be wrong in saying this, and I often am, but I don't think you could see that from the road. That's one of the things I remember people going on about. They said, you couldn't see this from the road. Tell me in channel if anyone remembers this or not. I mean, let's have some, hello.
Well, that is interesting because I can't think how else we would have stopped.
Well, exactly.
Well, there you are.
Hello Sailor 1 says, no, you could not. And Sonia says, I don't think you could. Cannabis says exactly. Advabasa says that's apparently right. So they're seeming to come across and sort of say you couldn't see it from the road. Now, if you ended up there and there were no people walking through that, to let you know that circle was there, it's interesting. I mean, how did you end up in that circle? As you say, you went back and you went, look, that circle.
Well,
we were in that.
My recollection is
you saw
I saw it, and I said, look, there's a crop circle, let's stop and take a look. But,
interesting.
Well, there you are.
I wonder which road you saw it from and which vantage point you could
I'm fairly sure it was the A303 because we would have been driving from London down to where at the time my father and my stepmom lived near Exeter. So yeah,
Right.
we would have been going down the A303
So you'd have been going from
London down
from east
down,
to west,
Yeah, we would
on the 303.
Yeah, east to west.
and you'd have basically come past Boscombe down, which is too far away probably to see a crop circle if you're at Boscombe down, and then you come to the roundabout, which is the whatever service is, I can't remember what they're called, and then once you come off that roundabout, you just basically going uphill, and on the top of that hill is the Julia set. Now that is kind of on a flat field at the top of the hill, so I kind of think it might have been hard to see it unless you saw it from further to the east, past Boscombe down, but that would have been quite a distance away. Does that ring any bells?
Well, goodness, you're asking me about a journey where I wasn't even the driver, Michelle was, and
Right.
and this journey was obviously when was Julia set? Remind me, what, 10 years ago? I don't know.
Channel. When was the Julia set? I can't remember.
I don't know. They're asking what vehicle he was in, how high was it, etc.
Well, the vehicle
you
height
park?
wouldn't have made much difference, I don't think. It was
Goodness.
1996. 1996.
96. Well, there you are.
Yeah.
The vehicle, gosh, I have no idea.
Hey, we've got somebody in channel has said, your dad lived near Halberton, near Tiverton.
Pardon me?
Halberton, near Tiverton?
Yes, actually.
We got
that's
some
true.
people in channel who are pretty sharp people in channel, eh?
Yes. Well, actually, a village of Thorverton near Exeter.
Right.
But Thorverton is probably not far from Tiverton. I think it's down the same road.
Right, okay. Somebody says, if you're going quite fast on the A303, you would have had to stop and park pretty sharpish. So, but if he'd seen it before he got to it, obviously he could have prepared and slowed down before he turned into where that was. Do you remember whether you parked at Stonehenge or whether you parked right next to the crop circle and went in?
I've got absolutely no idea.
Oh dear.
Check the picture.
Okay.
I'm told.
Well,
I'm very sorry. I've got absolutely no idea.
this is gonna start. This may start. I don't know. It may start a whole line of interest now
all I
in
can
wanting to know from
remember-
you. Yeah.
Honestly, Matthew, all I can remember is that Michelle and I were driving down the A303 from London to Devon. We saw, I think I saw, but I couldn't even swear to that, a crop circle. Said, look at that, let's park up and have a look. And it was the Julia set.
Right.
Honestly, that's about all I can recall about that.
Okay, I'm looking at a photo of it now, looking at Stonehenge, and I know those fields because I've actually gone and flown my little microlight over that field as well, and it's pretty much flat up there, and you're on the high part of the hill. It's interesting. It's very interesting what you say. I don't doubt that, as you say, you were in it because you remember that fact. And
Well, I think
yes.
I've actually got some photos of Michelle and I in it somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you say that you were in there on the first day and you saw it, and there were no people in it, so that didn't give away its presence. That's kind of interesting. I will look into this now and see whether it can be seen. Whether it can be seen.
Just to recap, I can't recall whether we were literally the first people in there. I mean, look, I've been to a lot of crop circles.
Yes.
And obviously I asked the farmer's permission, or as often happens, the farmer sends a couple of local lads with a bucket and takes £1 off you to go in. And that's happened a few times. I can't remember the circumstances of this. This is something that happened over 10 years ago.
Okay, well, very interesting. I think we'll have to look into it, and we'll let you know what we find out. And because I think that's an interesting thing that you managed to get into that on the first day. And how did you see it?
I think I've got some photos somewhere, and if I can dig them out, I'll send them to you.
Okay, brilliant. So, well, okay, it's coming up to 10 to 10, and we did say we'd sort of, let you go a little bit early. So now might be a good opportunity to sort of wrap it up. I think if everybody's happy with that, we'll let Mr. Nick go and watch his football show.
Well, I think the football's over now, but I'll watch the highlights.
Okay.
And, maybe kind of phone for a pizza or something.
Right. Phone the local Domino's, eh? Right. Okay. Well, thanks very much. If we've got any more questions, we might pass them across to you and read them out. Your responses in the next or a few shows ahead. So
that's fine.
Okay. I hope you've enjoyed being on here. We haven't been too nasty to you.
No, not at all. It's good fun, and this little discussion about the Julia set is quite interesting.
Yes. Well, like I say, we'll definitely look into it. We've got people who are very what's the sort of polite word for this? Anal about these sorts of things, and I'm sure they'll look into this one to the nth degree.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that I've actually kept diaries, personal diaries, journals since 1979, so I can probably actually check dates and times if there are specific questions on this.
Right, okay. Well, knowing the date that it appeared, I mean, you could work out within a couple of days where to look in your diaries, so that would obviously sort of give you a head start on that.
Indeed. If I wrote it in my diary, as opposed to sort of, just not.
Or
but,
a note.
We'll see.
A
we'll
note
see.
that you went down to see your dad at that particular
time.
Yeah,
it might say, "Dear diary," not that I write like that, but yes, went to see Mama and Papa.
Right. Okay. We've got one quick question then. Somebody's been asking this one quite a few times, actually. So I suppose, could we ask you this one quickly because we didn't get to it? It's from Andrew Perker, and he says, where is your information coming from? What drives you to keep on going in this line of interest?
Ooh, goodness. Interesting question. Well, my information, I mean, most of what I talk about, UFOs and crop circles and things like this, obviously comes from my MOD background and my time on MOD's UFO project. But what keeps me interested in this, years after I left that, is obviously the fact that this is, as I like to say, one of the most profound questions that one can ask oneself. I mean, are we alone or not in the universe? Short of asking, does consciousness survive death of the physical body, or is there a God? Actually, the question, are we alone or not in the universe, is probably the most profound question we can ask ourselves. And interestingly, out of those questions, it's arguably the easiest to answer. We might get an answer any day.
Yes, indeed. Well, hopefully, unless you're actually saying that we are going to get an answer in any day. I know your beliefs on 2012 are like mine, that we haven't got much to worry about, and it's just a date, folks. It doesn't mean anything.
It's just a date, yes. I mean, I won't, obviously we're running out of time, but I mean, my calendar runs out every year. I just get a new one. So the end of the Mayan calendar doesn't mean the end of the world. End of calendar does not and has never meant end of the world. So as they used to say on Crime Watch, don't have nightmares.
Yes, indeed. Well, we've got a nice photo of you up on the screen with Peter Robbins and Tim Good and a couple of other gentlemen. So just to show you sort of touching base with those people. And yes, Tim Good is a very interesting character. Maybe we'll get him on the show one day. I know he's had his bee in his bonnet about me a few times. So let's see whether we can get him on. So, okay. Well, thanks very much, Nick, for coming on, and hopefully we'll get some information across to you, and we'll see what you've got to say on this Julia set thing, because that certainly is interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Well,
look forward to that.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick.
Okay. All the best.
Okay.
All the best to you both.
Okay.
And all the best to the listeners and the viewers as well.
Thanks a lot. Okay. Take care. We'll
Okay.
fade you out now, and he's going to go off and do what good ex-MOD employees should do, and probably have a drink like I've got here. And people tell me off for this. They say, you shouldn't drink on the show. And I say, why not? It's my show. I can have a drink if I want to. But there we go. So, yes, we've got lots of people in channel. We can take a couple more questions if people want to direct them in general about crop circles. And then we'll probably finish off just after 10 o'clock. So if anybody's got anything they'd like to ask. And
a little bit frustrating. There was a few people that wanted to ask questions.
Oh, really?
But we just couldn't fit them all in. They were streaming out. But,
oh, okay. Well, I think somebody said, who funds Nick's work, which was a Nick's question. But I think Nick already answered that. And, he basically says that he's an author now. Yeah. And he does stuff for television and radio, and sometimes he gets paid for those things. So he funds himself. He doesn't get paid by any government department or secret organisation or anybody like Mr. Rothschild. Although, if it makes you feel that the world is more exciting, then we'll suggest, would he really say if he did? Yes, but there we are. We've got a gentleman who might want to call into the show. Should we take a call?
He's gone, actually.
Has he gone now?
Yeah.
Do you want to ring him back?
He didn't call. He wanted to be added to the.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
What's his first name?
Paul.
Paul. Well, Paul, if you want to call in because you've added yourself to us on the Skype, feel free to do so. And so anybody in question got anybody in channel got a question? Sorry.
Any new field rumours for 2011?
Well, the general thing I'm hearing, you ain't gonna. It isn't gonna happen like this. I'm sure it isn't gonna happen like this. But I'm hearing, and I keep hearing this from a certain section of the community. No crop circles. That's what I keep hearing. No crop circles. Okay, you take that how you wish. I know this won't happen. It isn't going to happen like that now, but that's what they're saying. So I don't know. There's a lot of disgruntled atmosphere at the moment in certain camps, and thinking about holding back. And indeed, Sonia says that won't happen.
Yeah, I agree with Sonia.
It may not happen. No, so obviously it would be quite a sad thing if that happened. But yeah. So have we got?
Sonia also says, Matt, you seemed very well behaved.
I am, but no, Sonia, have you seen our friend on the bed over there? Look, have you seen our friend?
Can you not zoom in?
Yeah, I can zoom in, but I have to do this to do so. So, you aren't aware of who we got? We got famous people in the studio again. You see, but he's basically been a bit lazy now, and he's not prepared to be part of the show tonight. He's just watching.
He still looks quite excited, Matt. Are you not?
Well, he looks
very
pert.
Very happy.
He's very pert. Yes, he's standing up in certain areas there, isn't he? So I don't know whether he's standing up in other areas. What do you reckon? Can't make out. There's a bit of a lump there. Look, going on. What's that? I think this show might touch the parts that other people can't reach.
Did you read that, Matt?
What
Sonia said? Did you hear? I went to book a cottage in Wiltshire, but it was taken by MG.
Oh, really? Mm. Oh, well, there we go. But he's...
Tommy says draw some chest hair on him.
Yeah, okay. Booking a cottage, eh? So what's this cottage he's booking for then when he lives in Horton? Why would he want to book a cottage when he lives down the road?
Well, if he's charging £1,500 for a tour, then he's got to be offering something for that, isn't he? Mm. It's not going to be his professorship.
Mm. So maybe he doesn't want them knowing where he lives, you see. So he's like, oh, you can come and visit me in my little cottage, but it's not my cottage. You see, it's so you can't find out where I live. Yeah. Okay. But right then, well, so that's the only information I've got at the moment. No doubt there will be something that comes out, and it'll probably start in rapeseed as it usually does every year. I won't be keen to be giving anybody any help in rapeseed, or? But I don't make crop circles anymore anyway, so and that's true.
Ariadne there says not just one cottage and not just by MG, GK as well.
Gary King.
Oh right.
Well, they're hiring this whole set of chalets, and I know where it is as well. It's actually up by Wootton Rivers, I think it's called Wootton Rivers, near Pewsey. And basically, if you go down the canal and you keep going from Canal Bridge to Canal Bridge, if you go to Wootton Rivers and you go to the Canal Bridge at Wootton Rivers, either to the left or to the right of the Canal Bridge are a set of chalets, basically. These chalets are, for hire. They've got several of those for their crop circle tour they're doing in the summer. So if you want to sort of check out where they are, have a look on Google. I think it's Wootton Rivers, Canal Bridge, and you'll see them there.
Tommy says MG, GK, SA, KA, CRU. I don't know if that's a list of people that's doing it. Yeah,
£1,600 for a tour to go and see the crop circles with Glickman and King. Wonderful. Yes. Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, Darby says it would be great if there were no circles to tour at the end of the tours.
Well, it would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or if every circle had the word Michael Glickman written underneath it, so that everyone knows they're man-made.
Yeah.
And then you'd realise the reason that the crop circles maybe are being shafted over this year is because people don't like Michael Glickman.
Keith is saying they're guaranteeing crop circles then.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're expecting crop circles to happen because they treat the crop circles like as if they're a personal property belonging to them, don't they? It's like, oh, they're our crop circles, our crop circles for me, Michael Glickman. And he literally does believe that the crop circles appear for him. They come down specially for him. I've heard him say this. He's not the only one to have said it. I mean, somebody Agent S knows used to believe that they came down specifically for her. And, some people believe these things. They think that the crop circles are made just for them because they're so important that they're just done for these people.
Do you know what? I think it's wrong to take away the element of people have messages and people receive messages in life, but to devote your entire life to believing that you are the sole vehicle of receiving messages for all the people around you, I can't even comprehend an ego that big. That's my views on it. I would feel so up my own arse if I had that opinion. Was that a bit rude?
Well, yeah. I mean, one particular farmer used to say, they appear on my land because it's for me, and if it wasn't for me, people wouldn't be able to visit crop circles. So obviously they've come on my land for me because I am the type of person that will let people visit them. So they've appeared for me.
Roger CCC says, really, Agent S, ever heard of red collie? Only since I've been doing this with Matt. I don't know whether it is a person or a theory, or I'm assuming it's a person. Okay, I don't know who red collie is now.
Yeah, it's a person.
Well, I may have done from the 10 years ago. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, he's somebody who comments on the crop circle connector forums, as far as I'm aware.
I wouldn't know. I can't use it still.
Oh, there you go. Sonia, there you go. Agent S here has registered with the Crop Circle Connector forums weeks ago and has not received any
nothing at all.
Acknowledgement to activate her account. So I don't know who does that. Well, you'll have to privately let Sonia know what your name is, because maybe you do or don't want your name out, because people are fairly anonymous on that. But let Sonia know, because
I'll email her.
I think Sonia has something to do with. There you go. Sonia has something to do with people that can get that corrected. So
thanks, Sonia.
There we go. So yes, Roger CCC. So you asked, has Agent S ever heard of red collie? What was your point in relation to red collie in this matter?
Yeah. Yeah, what did that have relevance to, by the way?
Mm.
I think I was a little bit rude for a second there, wasn't I?
Sonia's
Something?
admitting that she's a moderator, so she's admitted
Oh.
it rather than me admitting it for her. Yes, there we are. She's happy to let people know that. And she might even tell you what her name is on there, or maybe not, I don't know. That's up to her. On the Crop Circle Connector forums we're referring to. So, Andrew Perker says, thumbs up for that quote, Roger. He's Dr. Horace Drew. Who's Dr. Horace Drew? Is that Red Collie you're talking about?
I think they're suggesting that Red Collie is perhaps somebody that thinks they are like the Messiah in terms of how they see themselves. Have I got that right? Have I understood that? That's the impression I'm getting.
Right.
People, Roger CCC, who I think originally asked the question, says people who think they are the sole interpreter of crop circles. So
Yeah.
I think that's what he's meaning.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? You know, considering these crop circles are made by people, and then you get somebody who comes along, you know, maybe like Mr. Red Collie or Chet Snow, or, you know, these people who say, we can interpret them. You know, we can interpret what crop circles are. And one person will say it means this stuff. Another person will say it means this stuff. You know, and it's all different ideas and different concepts. They can't agree, you know, a lot of the time on what you know, if the message was one thing, then it's not the same message for different people. So it's different messages for different people. And, you know, how can they say that they know the answers to the message of the crop circle when it's ultimately an abstract graphic? You know, is there going to be an absolute definitive answer to the interpretation of a crop circle? And especially when these things have been designed by people, it's pretty presumptuous for somebody to come along and say, well, I know what the answer to that is, and only I could know the answer to that.
It's not only that, it's like, whether you're religious or you're not, whatever your beliefs are, we all know how Jesus went down, don't we? Like, if you're gonna tell the world that you're the centre of the universe, then you kind of expect to get hung, drawn and quartered, aren't you? That's how it goes.
Mm. Matt says as he crunches his sweets.
Did you read that one from GBZ?
Crunch your sweets, crunch them, break your teeth off.
GBZ, is Matt suggesting that all circles are man-made?
Well, the ones that aren't man-made are usually the simplistic circles that you could probably put as akin to wind damage. And I've always played this in a very careful way, so as not to upset people too much when I say it, but ultimately the complicated designs are man-made. Anything that has a pattern or a design to it is man-made. Anything that is possibly looking like wind damage or a swirl rather than a closely, sharply cut circle is probably the original phenomena then, which could be wind or could be plasma, whatever you like. But generally, I think you'll find most people are only interested in the complicated design circles. They're not interested in the, quote, original phenomena. If anything, the original phenomena is ridiculed by most crop circle researchers who say, well, that's crap. That's the stuff that people do. And it's like, well, actually, no, it's the complicated stuff that people do, and it's the non-complicated stuff which maybe is the original phenomena. And really, the baby has been thrown out with the bathwater because people aren't interested in researching the original phenomena anymore. They just don't like the original phenomena. The original phenomena is not exciting enough for them, which is rather sad. So, there in a nutshell, that's what I believe.
Well, GBZ said some of us are purely interested in simple circles. Matt, it's a bit rude, isn't it? There is 3 of us in the room.
Oh, you can give one to
yeah.
Glickers if you wish. Yes. Oh, I should state as well. I've had a bit of controversy this week. My mentioning Christopher Everard on my YouTube channel, mentioning Christopher Everard's name has received a complaint from YouTube. YouTube have had a complaint by Christopher Everard saying, I want my stuff removed off the YouTube channel because I don't like it. So YouTube are looking into it at the moment, and how petty, eh? You know, these people that can't take criticism. But there we go. We shall see what happens with that. The funny thing about YouTube as well is that they won't actually tell me who's made the complaint. They just say somebody has made a complaint about their name being used in one of your videos. Well, actually, I listened back to the video. Do you know how many people are mentioned by name in that particular video? 26 people. Yeah? 26 fucking people are mentioned in that video. So if I knew which person it was, I could bleep out their name. I could edit the video and bleep out their name and re-upload the video. As it stands, because of YouTube's policy on somebody has complained, so you must remove their name, well, how the fuck am I supposed to know which name to remove? Idiots. They're fucking idiots, these people. God alive. So, there we go. But yeah, hopefully we'll find out soon. I did say to YouTube, I said, well, you know, I'm sorry, it's not like a confidentiality thing here. It's a common sense frigging thing. Which name do I remove? Or do I remove them all? I bleep every single name out of 26 names I mentioned in the video. Bleep them all out.
Hello Sailor says YouTube break copyright laws all the time.
Well, often it's not YouTube themselves that do it, it's their users, isn't it? Because the users upload something they're not supposed to, and YouTube should actually be a little bit more keen on pulling stuff down.
Yeah.
But instead, there you go, see? There you fucking go, right? You could have 500,000 videos of television channels being pirated up onto YouTube. Who's the fucker they're complaining about? Oh, you mentioned somebody's name in one of your videos. You're going to have to take it out. What about all the fucking... Oh, it's just fucking pathetic, isn't it? It's just absolutely
be seen to
pathetic.
be acting on complaints, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, you know, let's send some fucking complaints in about the copyrighted material then and see if they take that down. Oh yeah, and the Japanese nuclear disaster somebody's mentioning. Not according to Red Collie. He says Wollaston 2010 was a prediction of the Japanese nuclear disaster. So what's Wollaston 2010? Was that a biohazard or a radioactivity symbol or something like that? Or was it that one that has the radiating bars coming out of it? So it looks like... I think Andrew Perker mentioned something like that, didn't he?
Can I just say, though, that surely that's what art is. It's the ability to interpret the world through colour, pictures, the whole, the fact that art exists and it inspires people is because it's a language. So whose comment was it there? The prediction of the Japan nuclear disaster. The whole what I'm saying is you can read anything into anything. I could give you a cup of tea with the tea leaves in the bottom, and if you really wanted to, you could probably pick up some Japanese symbol in there. It's
you offering then? You offering?
Oh, do you want a cup of tea? We got the milk. It
Seeing
went
as
off.
you like, oh yeah, well,
it went all lumpy, didn't it?
It's your fault.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Has been about a month since I last bought it. Yeah.
Yeah. Should get in there and like take the cream off the top, and it'll be all right then.
Yeah.
God, just can't get the staff. So
but anyway, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, what you were talking about art interpretation before I buggered up and
no, I was talking about. I'm just saying that people read that the whole point of art. That's what makes art attractive, is because you can interpret the world into a simple language, and if
turning around and saying, I am, I'm telling you this is how it is, with something that's so abstract.
No, I'm talking about the Japan nuclear disaster was predicted.
Right.
In some circle or something.
Yeah.
I'm just saying...
Let's bring it up and have a look what it looks like then, seeing as it's been mentioned. Wollaston 2010 crop circle. If we bring it up and we'll have a little look and we'll see what we're getting all flustered about and whether we should be or shouldn't be. But... and it says, listen to the artist. They will help you make sense of the future. And Circle Square says, graph. Whatever that means. Alien Dan says, pareidolia. Pareidolia. Well, Wollaston. Was it Wollaston or Wollaston? I don't know.
I think I'm being tested on my spelling. Yeah,
Wollaston, not Wollaston. And then it might find it. Yeah, A. Yeah. There we go. Oh, well, I mean... Oh, come on! Oh, no, bloody... What a load of... Oh, get it up on the screen and pick it up and we'll just show it, because that's just bollocks. If you... Yeah.
Oh, drop it. Oh.
Yeah, or do a Control +++ and you can make it full screen, then it'll come up. Here we go. We go to full screen, and you can see what I mean. No, you have to make it a bit smaller then. Sorry.
Oh. Do you know what I see? Do you remember that
It's not coming up.
Oh.
You'll have to do the thing with a
desktop presenter.
Desktop presenter.
It'd
Yeah.
be that one. That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Could be that one. Yeah. Try that. Yeah. Here we go. This is the crop circle people are talking about, and I don't know.
It's a monkey. You know that
Monkey?
logo? You know that logo design that you get on clothing and bags? It's a monkey.
What are you
There's
on about?
Look, there's his
What
head.
are you on about?
There's his snout.
What are
and that's
you
his
on
ears.
about? What are you on about? Oh, go on. Point with your pointer and explain
Oh.
to us with your pointer so we understand what you're talking about.
I'm saying, think of a monkey's head. It's on its side at the minute. That's the top of his head. That's his mouth, his little mouth.
From
and
the top.
And these are his ears.
What?
Yeah,
That's
and
like
these-
that's like the Mexican riding a bike bollocks. That is, isn't it? You know, this is what a
Yeah,
Mexican
but that's
looks like
the whole point,
riding
isn't
a bike.
it? I'm saying anyone can read anything into
Oh.
anything. That's what art is.
If he's a monkey, he's got fucking huge lips. That's all I can say.
I'll fucking show you.
You fucking better
I fucking will. Look,
have it.
I'll have some of this
Have
now.
it.
Look. See, I won't be able to find
Fucking
it.
have it. Right. Oh well, I suppose people are, they can interpret things in any way they wish, but I think that's going a bit far with that one, isn't it? Saying it's a radioactivity, because it's not really, is it? I mean, it's just a bunch of radiating circles. It doesn't mean radioactivity. You can say it means radioactivity, but So stick aliens back in Fresno. Have you got anything then?
Yeah, well,
Have you got anything that shows this monkey from above?
hang on.
Oh, look at the whoa.
I'm looking.
Fucking hang on now, you fucking hang on, you. Stop your starting thing.
Fucking typical, innit?
You can't find one, can you?
Mouth.
That's that's different.
It's the same. I'm
That's-
just. It
Get
was
that up then. Bring it up.
It's
yeah.
not the exact one I'm talking
Right.
about.
But
Look, there's his
There.
nose. Like, flick through him, yeah.
mm,
There's his mouth, and there's his head. Look, there's his mouth, and there's his head, and there
yeah,
is
but
his
the ears are up on top on that one, and his
There's
ears are
his
down on the
ears.
side.
Well, as you get different types of monkeys, don't you? Look, my point is to illustrate that a person interprets an image like that,
I think
and it's his interpretation that is art or inspiration.
I think you've been taking drugs.
You don't see a monkey?
No,
You serious?
I don't look. They look.
You can bloody talk. You come up with some
Wind
shit.
her up. No, there's no monkey there. What
You
about?
are, you are,
two-
you wind me
been
up.
you've been drinking Domestos again, haven't you?
Hook, line and sinker, innit?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So got any? Well, you keep looking then for ones
There's
and
a
we'll.
specific one in mind that I have.
Mm.
But anyway, what are they saying in chat?
Let's have a look. Dorothy says there's a much better symbol for radiation. Yes, it's the actual radiation symbol with 3 triangles round a circle, which is pretty commonly known. But
Well, that's the other thing. If you have to go right around the bush to send a message to the little beings on planet Earth to some disaster, then they're obviously sending it knowing that there's going to be some very clever person in that little planet that's going to figure it out and tell the world. Someone like Jesus, perhaps. So where was this person who saw this?
I don't know.
You know, what's the purpose of the message
Cloud9?
even being there if
He's probably-
everyone didn't see it until after the occurrence?
Well, of course, because
Get a grip.
they need some big bloody world event, don't they? And then they can go back through the crop circles and find something that has a rough connection with the design and look, and go, see, that's the one, and then they link it then, and they go, you see, because if you look at this bit, this is the radioactivity, and if you look at this bit, this is the energy, and if you look at this bit, this is the atom structures, and if you look at this bit is got 9 circles, so it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, 10. It's got 10 circles, and 10 circles is J in the alphabet, and J is Japan. And it's like, fuck off. But anyway, yeah, right. Of course, we don't...
But Poor Frank was the brand I had in my mind when I...
Poor Frank?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a brand.
Go on then, bring him up. And we'll see
I
how
feel-
much this looks like.
I feel a little bit silly now.
Go on then, bring him up a bit bigger then.
All right then, hang on.
Well, no, you can do it there just by doing the...
Hang on, let's see if we can get large. Him.
Okay. Well, do you want to control plus and... Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Right, okay.
But I think
Apparently, this... Go back to the image of the crop circle.
Yeah, but I'm not saying I'm the Messiah though, am I? So
on.
what relevance does it have?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
that is that.
That is that.
Bear in mind that's on its side.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. All right, don't quit your day job. Or maybe do quit your day job because there's more money in crop circle predictions than probably the work you're doing
Hey,
now.
look, if all the monkeys die tomorrow, then you heard it here first, all right?
We've got a link to look up. Somebody says, look up this link, Roger CCC. So we'll do that now. And we'll find him. He's linked us to a pornographic image or something. But we shall see. As if it'll log in, because you've got to log in.
Oh, this is Red Collie.
Right.
Oh, we're in your account by the look of it.
We can't... is that logged in as me?
We must be, because you've got
I'm
messages.
not a friend of his, you see, Roger, so I can't...
No,
pull
but
up-
we can have... I can't look
I
at his
can't
photo.
pull up his page because I'm not a friend of his. So unless you're a friend, it won't show me what you were telling me. So if you want to pull that off,
There's little tricks you can do in Facebook, though. See if
right?
you can do it. Did you know that?
No.
If there's a photo link in their wall, which they usually share, the minute you can get into that, you can see all the pictures usually.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No,
Yeah.
even though they didn't want you to.
Yeah.
Fucking Facebook, honestly.
All you got to look for is the little... Because he set it for people coming to his profile, they can't view his pictures. But anytime he posts a photo on his wall that is linked to an album, you can view that album by clicking the arrows on that picture. So you heard it here first.
It shouldn't really be like that, though, should it? That's a bloody cock up on behalf of Facebook.
Also, don't worry about it. Just take advantage of it, innit?
Well, the only trouble is, I think we're going to have to be a bit careful about showing this guy's videos
Well,
and
let's not
pictures
then. We'll shut
because,
that down then.
because he could complain about that.
Yeah,
so,
well, we don't want...
we don't want to
Yeah.
get the show pulled because of copyright issues. So what did you want us to have a look at then? We've had a look at his page. What would you like us to do? Andrew Perker says thank you for having Nick on the show. And yes, it was the real challenge is to get the real Michael Glickman. We got him. Look, there he is. We got him. That's the real deal.
He's not eating his sweets.
Yeah, I mean he's looking a bit grey, but he is getting on a bit now. So, or Albert Budden, yes. Oh God, Albert Budden. You want to look at my YouTube clip on Albert Budden where he calls me a stinking shit-covered cunt. Yes, that's true. He actually did that on a phone call to me. So yeah.
Did you read that one? Any info on Cosmic Dave coming on the show?
I did, but I still haven't had the contact details passed through to me for him. So I would like to invite him on, but I need to have some details for him. Roger CCC says I'm blocked, so I assume that's from the Facebook page. So you can't go.
Oh, I'm wondering if I just clicked it. Oh yeah, you wouldn't have been able to write that if I'd banned him.
Yeah, and somebody saying maybe Matt could do an outside broadcast at the chalets. Yeah, that's a possibility actually, because I do have the ability to broadcast broadband from certain locations if the signal is strong enough. And I could take a laptop down and we could do a show, couldn't we? I've been thinking of doing one this summer in the barge inn, and what we can do is we can invite guests who are staying at the pub, whether they be researchers or whether they're just people who are staying out at the back in the pub. And we can invite them in and ask them their opinions, get them on the show, give them their 5 minutes of fame. So, yes, good idea. Get Gary King on the show. Do you think he'd come on this show? I don't think so. I think he'd... well, anyway. So we're 22 minutes past 10. I think we'll probably get off in a minute, and we'll finish the show. Boom, boom. Yes. Getting off after the show. Yeah. There's a link there. He's given a new link.
Really? I
Oh,
thought
no,
that was...
sorry, that's the old one.
Yeah.
Somebody says it's Madonna's bra. That crop circle that we showed. What was it called? Wollaston or something? Wollaston. And thanks for showing the trailer, Stuart Dyke says. No problem, mate. Yeah, we hope you get some sales of the DVD from that.
Yeah. I'm just reading that comment again from Perker saying about getting Glickman on the show. That would be interesting.
If anybody wants to try, I don't think he would accept the invitation from me. I think it would instill instant bad reactions. If somebody wants to discuss it with him because they know Michael Glickman and they feel that they could perhaps coax him, you are welcome to waste your time. I don't think it's ever going to happen. So
I think he would do it. But not for the reasons that you'd think, perhaps. I think he's got the bollocks to do it. I've said that before.
Oh, I don't. I think he knows he's going to be assassinated on the show. You know, I think he'd be afraid of actual physical molestation.
Yeah,
or,
but I trust him to be devious enough to have a ulterior motive.
Well, I don't think he would. But, please, somebody try. I mean, at the end of the day, we've said it's down to you sometimes who you want to have on the show. It's not necessarily down to us. I'm not saying I wouldn't have him on the show. I just can't. I just wouldn't believe it would happen. And I mean, look at what I've been doing. I mean, do you think he's going to come on the show after that?
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you really think he'd come on the show after that? I mean, I think that's funny, but I don't think he would find that funny. You see, I mean, I find that funny. I mean, if he actually had a sense of humour, then we probably would have been able to talk by now, me and him, and we would have probably had a discussion. But we haven't, you see, because he's got no sense of humour, and he's very miserable and very angry, and he thinks that it all revolves around him, and he's right.
But it's a way out, because for him to laugh at somebody's death and do that thing with the cross and the cake, if he could come along tomorrow and say, do you know what, guys, get a grip, it was a joke, and you've just given him ample power by doing that about him, he could use that as a way to get out of what's been seen on that video.
We could indeed. We could find out that he does have a sense of humour, but it didn't look like it, did it?
Don't think so, Plan 9 says.
Yeah. I don't think so either. I mean,
I just think he's vain enough.
Well, if he's got a sense of humour and if he's got a sense of irony, people who generally do have a sense of humour and irony can talk to people they disagree with. And I offered him the chance to, chat and also to see a crop circle being made. And he what were his words to me? Don't ever ring me again. So, he's not somebody for wanting to talk about these things. I've cornered him in discussions where, of course, he hasn't had the power to actually say, you must stop Matthew Williams coming into this lecture, you see. And I've actually managed to ask him questions. I mean, the room was full of circle makers, unbeknownst to him. But I mean, John Lundberg was there, Will Russell was there, Dickinson was there. I'm not sure if Rob Irving was there, but there was stacks of circle makers in this room, and most of them were sitting, pretty near the front as well, to actually sort of basically, be the front line in front of Glickman. So it's kind of like, to play with his conscience. Basically, it's kind of like, well, look, there's a load of freaking circle makers sitting in front of you, and one by one we all asked questions, and I was quite surprised that he would actually answer me, and I'm surprised that he even looked at me. Because I honestly thought that, he would have just had a freak out and just go, no, I'm not answering your questions, on to the next person. But he did. And, anyway, I would love to have him on the show, but I just don't think it'll happen.
This is Roger CC saying, Matt, look at this then.
He's starting a show called Moneymakers TV. Yeah. That's what I was saying about Chris Everard, actually, sort of doing videos supposed to be for the truth movement, and I said, yeah, he's probably making videos for the bloody money making movement. He should join Goldman Sachs or the bloody stock exchange, and then he could start printing his own fucking fiat currency then, because he's so desperate over his 20 quid for his bloody, his DVD. But right then, the Circle Chasers.
Yeah. You've got competition. Hang on, look. Any show of humour, jokes and creativity concerning crop circles are also welcome. However, postings and remarks which are spiteful, insulting, degrading, abusing, spreading of hatred, ridiculing or personal attacks will not be tolerated.
Where?
Did you not see that?
Yeah, but where? On what? On Circle Chasers' website?
Oh, sorry, I've assumed this is going to be a TV...
No, Circle Chasers is just their Facebook page for the Crop Circle Connector.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. Yeah.
You thought this was a new TV channel?
Yeah,
no,
I thought this was Lickers coming out with...
No, Circle Chasers
right.
is Crop Circle Connector.
Oh, okay.
See the graphic up there? It says Crop Circle Connector. Da, 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 da.
Oh, come on, Matt. You know I'm not that
well, Mark,
smart.
You don't know who these people are, I know. It's nothing to do with being smart. It's just to do with whether you know who these people are and you don't. Mark Fuzel runs the Crop Circle Connector with Stuart Dyke. Stuart Dyke was in channel earlier on.
What are they wanting us to see then? Because this is he's desperately trying to get your attention on this. He doesn't say anymore. He just sends the link.
No
I just
idea.
had a feeling that there's something there you meant to see.
No idea.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, we're just on at 10:30 now, so looks like if you've got any questions, you better ask them quickly. Julian as well, Sonia says. Julian Gibson, or Gibson, but with an E on the end. I think it's Gibson.
Oh, he says it's the collie rubbish.
It's the collie rubbish, right. I don't really know whether we can get that because we can't get into his Facebook. So
I think that's why he's given us this page. Because I think Collie's perhaps saying something in here.
Oh, on the wall, is it?
Look.
Red Collie.
Our ET friends. Go on.
Again, I don't know whether we'll get in
Right.
trouble for showing
okay.
the pictures because they could be copyright. So generally, if we're showing stuff like that, you can kind of get away with it. But with people like that, I know that once you start showing their stuff, they'll start freaking out. So we could talk the text, but we'd have to sort of scrub out the picture.
Do you know what though? Fair play to you, because you can. I don't know how you stay focused, because I can so easily forget where I am and just like say what's on my mind. I don't know how you can be so focused.
Well, Julian Gibson says in relation to these photos that's been sent in by Red Collie, interesting YouTube video from Red Collie from NZ, New Zealand. As for the new planet, well, it's not long until June the 1st to see if your thoughts on this matter are correct. So this is a new planet. Oh, are they talking about Planet X or this... what was it now? I mean, they've found a new planet out in the solar system that's supposed to be out beyond Pluto. Is it like that? I think, and they've redesignated Pluto as not being a planet. If I'm correctly now, it's not a planet anymore, so it's lost its planet status. So we no longer have 9 planets in the solar system. We have 8 because they said, well, Pluto's not a planet. So they've taken away its...
That's not new information.
What?
That's not new information, is it? That's
It's
old.
fairly new.
Really?
I think so, yeah. I think it's fairly new information. Tell me in channel if I'm correct. Somebody says it's a gas giant. So it's not really a planet, it's a gas giant. It doesn't qualify as being a planet. So anyway, but they've actually found something that could be a new planet. But it's out so far that they just hadn't spotted it before. So it's in an orbit, but it's very far out, and it's been, well, they're looking at it, and I think they've designated it a planet. I don't know whether they've given it a name now.
And there's 2 moons, yeah.
I don't know. It's in the Kuiper belt, Kuiper, Kuiper or Kuiper. What knows? Kuiper belt object. So it's basically quite far out in a belt of our solar system. Is it so? Well, our solar system is the solar system is loads of stuff, isn't it? Our solar system, our planets.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Anyway, Kuiper.
There's the YouTube link there,
It
which
says
we can watch after.
KY per. KY per. Okay. KY.
You can interpret that in your way, can't you?
You can see what I'm seeing
Yeah.
when I see that. Yeah. So,
Pronounced Kuiper.
Yes. So, right, we've got a picture of it. I think somebody sent a picture in of... We might not get into trouble for... Oh, hang on then.
We're back to monkey, aren't we?
Whose Wollaston Grange was drawn in as one of the... Oh, come on, let's show this then. Hope we don't get in trouble for it. Right, what's this then? Because it's got bloody Google Maps in it, so I don't think that's necessarily somebody's real copyrighted work.
Well,
So
we've seen...
Wollaston Grange was drawn in one of the closest possible fields to Oldbury Nuclear Power Station across the River Severn. Well, that's not necessarily true, is it? Because I mean, there's fields next to the power station, surely, you know. I mean, I can see fields next to the power station. So, I mean, to say that across the River Severn, it's been put up there, I mean, again, it's just drawing conclusions, isn't it? I mean, the person who wrote this is saying, well, you know, it's the closest field there is. And it's like, well, no, there's fields all around that bloody nuclear power station.
Do you know what my brain's saying? It's saying, of all the most amazing things in the world that have been built or conceived, the fact that that image is literally 4 circles, hands up anybody that can think of an object that has 4 circles. I mean, Jesus.
An object that has 4 circles.
I mean, what I'm saying is that this is being shown because that circle is reading into some disastrous or some meaningful interpretation. I'm like, come on. It's 4 bloody circles. How many things, places, things that you can see that has 4 circles in it? The fact that the human head has 2 eyes and 2 ears, it's like, it's not difficult to...
Yeah, but then it has 2 nostrils, that makes 6, and then it has the mouth, that's 7.
Yeah, so what's
7.
missing from this then?
What's missing from it?
Yeah. Like, if this is an interpretation of this...
So you mean if the crop circle is an interpretation of the nuclear power station?
Yeah,
right.
So what's missing on the crop circle then? Shitloads.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, it's very, very weird, isn't it? And I mean, it's not a real it's not a Vesica Pisces per se, because they're not overlapping 50-50 to give you the perfect Vesica Pisces.
All I'm saying is you're not going to be a salesperson if you think people are going to buy into that.
It's an interesting crop circle, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think that the last thing I would ever do myself is interpret that as something to do with nuclear power. Personally, that would be the furthest thing from my mind in looking at that.
Unless you were looking for a badge of status of some kind. You heard it here first.
I think people are just really clutching at straws and saying, well, that's energy, look, radiating out, because it's the radiating bars of the circles, and that must be nuclear. And it's like, well, it could be, yeah, somebody just said it could be an earthquake, you know, so it could be like, well, look, you know, 2 points of an earthquake, and they overlap, and you're getting interference patterns, and you're getting harmonic resonance, where you're getting cancellations, and you're getting very strong wave fields. You know, you can interpret it in all sorts of ways.
But do you know what the funny thing is, right? An earthquake...
Thanks to that, for whoever said that.
But an
Circle
earthquake
square.
could be the result of the human errors being made in the dumping grounds, the environment that we're neglecting.
The dumping grounds?
The dumping ground.
You said dumping.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm half retard, aren't I?
You keep on saying that. I just take the piss, whether, you know, it's just you got it wrong. Dumping. I do it. It's all right. I just take the piss. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying,
Dumping.
like, we could read into something like, oh my God, this circle represents this natural disaster. It's like, what about the messages we ignore? Like the fact that we don't throw our litter in the bin and we chuck it on the streets. You know, the fact that all the ice is melting because we're heating up all the... You know, if you wanted to read into something, then surely that would be a more worthy area to raise your concerns. You know?
Somebody's saying maybe Madonna was sunbathing there. Yeah, I think it's sort of like two large radiating D treble quadruple D D to the power 40 size whatevers. But no, I think if Madonna was sunbathing near where this crop circle had appeared, I think there would be radioactive damage for about 45 miles. So yeah, she's definitely got some bad energy soaking around her, I think. But yeah.
Anyway, what are they saying in chat? I can't see it at the minute.
This is the point, Monad. Roger CC says, either we were warned or we weren't, depending on whether Collie is sane or mad. I'd say probably mad. Yeah. So you weren't warned, really. I don't think. I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody had actually come along and said, see this crop circle and see that, see this design, it is definitely an impending warning about a disaster that's going to happen of a nuclear type. And then you say, right, okay, you made that statement just before this event happened with the nuclear incident in Japan. And then you say, well, that's pretty good then, because you actually interpreted that. To go back the other way and actually say, well, we didn't say this was going to be a crop circle to do with that. We've not said anything. Then the nuclear disaster happens, and then you go back through all the crop circles, and you find the ones that look the most like, things that might have something to do with radiation, and you go, oh look, that one, this one, and this one were all kind of looking like radiation, and you go, well, they're not looking like radiation. Well, I say they are, and there's 3 of them, and they all look like radiation, so obviously I'm right that there was a warning about radiation. It's like, well, it's very good of you to do that after the fact.
Yeah.
After the fact, you can draw conclusions like that about anything.
Yeah, it's like we should be saying, God, when that world ended last week, we're so lucky that we listened to Red Collie and we found that underground bunker. We wouldn't be able to... Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, he didn't predict it, did he? He backwards predicted it. He said, after we're dead and in the afterlife, he says, see, 4 crop circles were showing that the Earth was going to blow up. And it's like, well, fucking, that's a bit late now, isn't it, Mr. Collie? It's like we're all dead and in heaven now, and you telling us after the fact is nothing. It means nothing.
So Hello Sailor is saying, what if whoever made the circle had an unconscious intuition about an earthquake, a nuclear disaster that came from the design? That's cool, but what did that circle maker do to do anything about it?
Well, he might not have known, you see, that his interpreted inspiration and his design would have some meaning to people, that they would all start going, radiation. I bet the circle maker didn't even know what he was doing. And if everybody starts going, oh, wow, that's radiation, I bet you, as far as he's concerned, as far as he's concerned, it's like, well, he just went out and did his design. It didn't mean anything particularly, and everyone's interpreted it, in that way.
Yeah, it's...
But there we go.
Sorry, Alien Dan is coming in with a few links. I'm just wondering if we can see those.
Well, somebody said they should have done it in Japan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
That's a great thing to say at the end of that.
Yeah. Go to that one again. That link. Did you have it? Yeah. Again, we're gonna have to be a bit careful because it's Lucy stuff. We've got spirals of spiraling in 2 crop circles that intersect each other just at the very edge.
Well, they've got the links in chat, so. It's not like...
you've got the links in the chat channel, but there's a spiral effect. And I mean, again, it's just a spiral. It could be somebody experimenting with spirals. Here we go, another one from Lucy Pringle's site, 2007 AW. I don't know where that's from.
And there's one more.
Sorry. They do have the names on them. This is the one at Windmill Hill, Avebury, Truslow, 2006. Again, it's 2 circles that have a kind of 3D relief effect going on, whereby they seem to sort of I don't know how you describe it. It's almost like as if there's a hollow on the top of the circle, and it goes in like a volcano. Then yes, like a little bit of a volcano effect. It's 3D and it goes down in size, and you've got 2 of them, one on one side, sort of seeming to mirror almost, but a little bit smaller than the other one.
But if I was a spiritual person, somebody who believed in God, I could say that those are just angels. Have you ever made the angel wings in the snow?
Yeah, doing your, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, those are angels, aren't they? perhaps with the sun behind their wings.
Well, I know one thing for certain. If there had been a volcano somewhere, that had slightly erupted, or any type of earthquake, which, let's face it, earthquakes do happen a lot all around the planet. They're not all serious ones. You get these shakes and tremors. That somebody would have connected it with that design. They would have connected it with that. And, see, the trouble is, if I had, I might have pictures of that myself somewhere. So 2006 crop circles. I may have pictures of it, but I would have to dig them out in my hard drive over here, and I can't do that.
The other
whilst
thing
this program's running
is they all have a theme of telecommunications, like signals going out, and it's like we live in a technological world, don't we? Like with your Wi-Fi and your iPods and
radio and television and
yeah,
satellite.
I mean,
and
it's bound to affect our creativity.
yeah, well, art is mirroring the society we live in, and it's suggestive of so many things. I mean, that's why you could interpret 100 different things into whatever you want to think about those crop circles. But it doesn't mean that they were made specifically for those things. But if somebody wants to insist that it was, of course, then people are going to go, oh, wow, it must have been then. It must have been for that reason. And the fact is, it probably wasn't. But
Let's see what Roger CC sent us. Oh no, his links don't. Hang on.
no, those you have to copy the
I
whole
know,
line
yeah.
in, yeah.
I think we did that one actually.
We're being told we're all tripping now. Fair enough.
Oh really?
Yeah. Well, you'd know about that one, Tommy, wouldn't you? Yes. So, oh, I see.
I can't be tripping. I don't do drugs.
There's a sort of, I suppose, maybe a slightly racist comment. Yeah, it's actually a Google Earth picture of a coolie family on a bicycle. That's a bit naughty. Not that we're politically correct.
Do you know what? I
But,
saw that comment and I thought there was some kind of truth to it. I just assumed that
You thought
information was right.
You thought he meant red coolie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a different interpretation of that.
Right,
Yeah.
See how much people read into things and how people don't, like.
Hey, leave it out, we've been told. Hey, leave it out. It's not me. Somebody wrote it in channel.
He was joking.
He was joking. Right, okay.
Yeah,
well,
I think it's probably about time to draw a shot, isn't it? We are getting a bit silly now.
yeah, okay. So who's saying it's orbiting around the sun, Monad? Matt, chase up Nick's evidence for 1996 Stonehenge Julia set. It would be very interesting to find out what time he found it. Yeah, well, like he says, I mean, he's pretty certain he was there on the very first day. He's certain of that, but he can't remember what time of day, which is a bit weird. But I suppose, if you remember key facts, don't you? You don't remember the whole detail. You sometimes remember key facts. If he goes away now, he might actually start thinking about it, and then he may come up with some more information, hopefully. It might sort of start to jog in his memory a bit and he'll remember more. But I think we can probably, the time of day is crucial, GBZ says. I think what we need to do is ascertain, can you see this from the road? I think the answer is no, you can't see it from the road. The other thing is, could you see it driving up the hill? No, I think because the incline of the hill, it pushes away from the crop circle is on the top, and the A303 going down to Boscombe Down and Amesbury actually dips away, so you're not going to see up over. You can't physically see up over. So the only place it could be is if you come past Amesbury, you come down the hill, back up onto the dual carriageway, which is facing towards Andover and Hampshire. Then that is the area which I would have thought would be the only place you could have been higher than. But it's quite a distance away, though. That dual carriageway is quite a distance away. That's the only place you could have possibly seen the Julia set. But it's going to be at an oblique angle, a long way away. I don't know if it's possible to actually see that field. And you'd have to have a very good set of eyes and be very, very lucky to see that. So for them to turn up and see that, it's quite interesting how they would have known it was there. And yeah, okay, so there we are. Maybe Mr. Pope was guided there in some way. I mean, maybe somebody rang them and told them it was there, and they just happened to be in the area. Maybe he's forgotten that. Maybe he's forgotten that key point. You see, maybe he's just forgotten that somebody rang him and told him it was there, and they said, "Oh, we're going past that."
Shaw said you two should have been in the police force.
Mm.
Can imagine you in a suit, Matt.
Yeah. I nearly joined the bloody police force when I was younger.
Do you know what I was going to say? I nearly joined the military police before I moved to Bristol.
Oh, God. I'm glad I didn't, because I went into Customs and Excise instead, and that was a fucking nightmare. Absolutely fucking terrible, you know? Really. And, God, I mean, I only wanted to do it because I was bored, and I thought, oh, this might be interesting and exciting. But, God, what I know now about the world, I would never, ever do it now. What I know about the world now. Oh, goodness gracious, the police are just wankers.
Yeah, hindsight has a good way of making you feel like you made the right decision.
Yeah.
So who's on next week, Matt?
Who's on next week? Right, well, I think we're going to have Andy Russell, who's somebody from South Wales. So Andy Russell is going to come on. He's agreed to. So if you've got any questions for Andy, he's going to talk about crop circles, and we expect you to phone in, motherfuckers. Sorry. Phone in, you nice people. And get your Skype mics working, because we do definitely benefit from having people on the show, not just us. You know, it's about getting some sort of feedback from you. So, okay, well, we better draw the show to a close, I think. And sorry about the breakdown earlier on when we had the power fluctuation.
It's the aliens.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see me getting a UPS because they just use loads of bloody power, and I don't want to have that on all the time just for the sake of it. But yeah, okay, so thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into the show. And yes, we will get the outside broadcast up and running from the barge in, hopefully, because they've got internet access we can connect to. And then we will do it. We will get connected, and we will do a broadcast for you. And who knows, we might even do one from inside a crop circle being made. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? You know, live from inside a crop circle being made with technology. So, and you won't know where it is. And that'll be really funny, wouldn't it? And it'd be like, right then, ha 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 ha, they're out making it now. Where is it? And then what we'd have to do is make sure that at least 2 were being made that night, so that you know, people would get confused then, and they'd say, oh, well, you know, 2 were made, and one of them might have been man-made because it was broadcast on CirclemakersTV, and the other one must have been real, you see, because it wasn't broadcast on CirclemakersTV. So, yes. Okay, so thanks very much, and yes, we shall catch you all next week at hopefully the same time, 8 o'clock, unless everybody starts complaining it is too early. And yeah, so thanks a lot. Cheers. Say goodbye.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah.